Yogi Berra once said, baseball is 90% mental, the other half is physical. The Pitcher's Dad podcast, hosted by Joe Lorenzini, has the mental half covered. His kids take care of the rest. And now, without further ado,
boom, I have an intro. Episode 2, baby.
Who is that, Samuel L.?
That's, I think Samuel L. Jackson really did make that for me. I do know a lot of people. I don't know him specifically, but I could see if I did know him, I'd ask him and he'd do it. So
I think you would.
Guest number 2, Eric Pettersen. How you doing?
Oh, man. First off, man, I'm honored to be on your podcast. Second guest. I mean, I understand why your wife was number 1.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know you have a lot of people that were candidates for number 2, and I'm ecstatic that you chose me, man.
No, I appreciate that. I think with you having your own podcast, you and Hooker, the Petty Hooker podcast, I've been on that a couple times. I am Popo Joe on that one.
Yes, you are.
Which is fun, which is really fun.
Well, that's how I met you.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought, you know what? Only fitting that you also helped me set some of this stuff up, get me the intro. So, I'm honored to have you on here. And honored's kind of a really heavy word. I'm just really happy you're here, I think.
I think I concur. I was honored.
Yeah. I'm happy I just have a nice bourbon here in my cup. You have one as well. We had a lot of feedback that people wanted video, so I hope you guys are happy. We got some video here.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with my hands. I also am barefoot. A couple of people commented that in the picture I was barefoot, so you guys know who you are. That asked about my feet, so I decided to go barefoot again. And
gotta own it.
Yeah, I'm representing a little exotic Joe. You remember the Tiger King? He's on here, so
nice.
He got me through COVID, and I think it's just I think he'd be a good guest. So maybe I'll do maybe I'll do a Joe exotic.
Well, there was a funny story, and we got a lot to get into. But man, Chad and I were talking about going to see. Tiger, when we were in Oklahoma, we're like, is that place still open? We knew he was in jail. We're like, is that place still open? We got to go.
Yeah, dude.
Turns out
just go see. I called for you twice. Oh, man. Yeah. Well, I think, wasn't Trump going to try and get him out of prison the first time? And
I think he was hoping Trump would get him out, and Trump
never
did
like,
it.
nah, dude. Yeah. So that's good, man. So, fill me in on, or I guess, just tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me what you got going on.
All right, man. So first off, man, we've only known each other for almost 4 years now, but it's been one heck of a 4 years.
Yeah, it's been pretty fun.
Yeah, and before I get any further, I really wanted to say, like, I think myself and my son and my family owe you a huge thank you.
Oh, okay.
Because when we met at a baseball tournament up in Carson City.
That's right.
When Junior joined the Stings,
which
is one heck of a team and another story.
Yeah, no, that could be a little later.
And anyway, we're up there, and we met and hung out for the weekend. Had a great time up there. But I had just retired.
That's right.
I was in probation as a probation officer, and literally had retired 2 days before that.
That's right.
And anyway, so we were. One of the evenings after the games, we were sitting there talking, and you're like, hey, man, your kid can play. Why wasn't he in the league?
Right. Oh, that's right. That's right.
And I was like, oh, man, I feel horrible. I knew about the league. I just never looked into when the tryouts were. And, and you're like, well, your kid can play. I think you should try out for Alpha.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
And you sent me the link, and I signed him up. He tried out and he made it.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And his entire recruiting journey changed because of that.
Yeah, right on. Right on.
I think he would have ended up somewhere.
I think so.
It would have been a much different journey. But I had one hell of a time, and I know he did.
No, dude. I mean, it's funny, right? We, the people, whatever. I remember thinking that because, I mean, to be very honest, I don't know. I mean, Angel and I have talked about this in the past, the league and what Favre did with that and how he got all these dudes to come play. I had never heard of that. And until I moved up here, USA Baseball, these kind of things, I think now they're popular in the Bay, but at the time, just for me, I mean, some people might be listening and go, what? How did you not know about that? And that's true. I don't know. But just for me, it wasn't a thing. I wasn't going to drive out to Stockton for a tryout but when we moved up here, it was like, hey, it's this thing, and sports is more like just a higher priority or whatever. And, when we played with you guys in Carson City, because I can't remember how that worked out, but
a lot of the kids from the Spikes. That,
That's right. That's right.
Had looking for a place to play. We had played them, and Chad contacted Sean and said, "Hey, that your team can play. We're looking for a place. We need a few ball players."
That's exactly what it was.
So then they played a few tournaments, and then I think Joey had gone to 911.
Yeah,
he had played against you guys.
Yep. He had gone to play for Butch, and Butch was great to Joey. I mean, that was during COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we couldn't, 13-year-old year, the Spikes had kind of imploded. I don't know what the right term was, but they had just lost their steam. You know, we added to them late, right? I mean, they had already gone to Cooperstown and stuff like that. And then everybody was kind of scrambling, like, hey, what are we going to do? You know, because Joey had played La Marinda and, I think
some quality teams, but he also played some daddy travel ball.
Yeah. We were probably to my discredit, we never turned down a team to go play with. You know what I mean? We were always down to play. Yeah. So, I mean, my little hat collection in my, closet is pretty big. My
missions hat.
Yeah, that's right. The missions. I mean, that's where it all started. Well, technically, it all started with Jay Borzello and the Stompers. I think that was 7U or 8U. He was like, I'm going to put this team together. And, dude, that team's loaded now, if the Stings had been, I was just talking to Maloney the other day. We played Del Oro. And God, what a good dude,
Yeah.
Just thinking about man, that team, now fast forward, we're all seniors or whatever. I think Brock O'Haron's talked about that before, where Torrin's group, and now those guys are all in college, and just, man, if that team, when they were 12 or 13, you could have just got those guys together. I mean, that's a pretty raw group, right? Yeah. They're all playing at a high level now. And so I think with our boys, it'll be the same thing.
Well, with that Stings team alone, if you took a team photo and you started putting check marks next to kids, I think I want to say there's 6 or 7 D1 players on that team, and with a D2 commitment also. And I think every kid who wants on that team that wants to play ball will play ball at the next level if they haven't committed already.
Yeah, I agree. I think what we're starting to see now is that kids who can play baseball are starting to get, let's call it late offers. I don't know what I want to call it, but, Arn Verma, our second baseman, just a baller, right? Just does all the small things right. And I hate to use the word small. I know he's a smaller in stature kid, but the dude just gets on and he just makes the play. And you put him in left field, you put him at second base, you put him in the box. And I remember just thinking I had never met him. You know what I mean? I had never seen him play until last year. And I'm like, oh, wait, who is this guy? And he had always been around. And it's not trying to sound arrogant. I just hadn't met him yet, and the parents are awesome. So he just committed to Hawaii Pacific.
Right.
And dude, how sick is that?
Pretty awesome.
Cuthill's there. He got surgery, but he's going to be back there. A buddy of mine, Dan March, he played there. And he's like, dude, it was phenomenal.
It's in Honolulu, man.
Yeah, I mean, so to your point, if you want to play, you'll find a spot,
Exactly.
And it's not like these guys are, playing at, some podunk town where you just wouldn't want to live, right? I mean, people are playing at some pretty good spots. So that Sting team was where we met, and I feel like we did pretty good that weekend too, if I remember correctly.
I think I think Troy got hurt. We had some minor injuries, and we had an unexpected semis loss.
That's what it was. Yeah. We were like, oh, we're gonna roll this thing.
Yeah,
and then something happened.
We lost to that CBA team from Fresno. They had
right.
They had that baller catcher who was talking to us before.
Yes,
the game.
yes. God, that's right. And it's funny, right? You think back to those days. It's like you just, everybody was the top of their game. And the kid, the catcher, right, just stands out. You're like, I wonder what happened to that guy.
Exactly.
I wonder what he did. I hope everything worked out.
Oh yeah. Well, I think one of the highlights for me that weekend was the home run contest that we had amongst ourselves. We all put $5 in.
Oh, that's right. Who won that?
Ethan.
Was it Ethan Brown? Right? Yeah, because Jeff Brown was like.
But it was 4 games in, man.
That's right. Nobody had hit one.
Nobody hit one.
That's right. We all thought.
Because we were in Carson City.
Little league dad syndrome, dude. My kid is so good. He's gonna go here 10 times. And we were in the 4th game, not one person did home run, dude.
But the thing is, they were all capable of it. It was a 300 all the way around field. I mean,
dude, yeah.
And we're in elevation.
And were we still swinging the drop 5s then?
No, we were at the BB course at that point.
Okay,
it was 14U.
Maybe that makes sense.
Yeah, that was a highlight because.
Oh, that's funny.
I think
you got a good memory, dude.
Yeah, it was because it was so funny. Jeff had let Ethan in on it, so it was $5 a game per kid. and whoever's so everybody got to equalize.
And it rolled.
So Kyle led off. If Kyle led off and hit a home run, then everybody behind him.
You had to get another at bat.
They had to get their at bat for that
That's
round,
right.
and so it lasted four games, and like I think
We all had to chip in $20 at that point because they kept rolling over.
right. So we're up at like that pot was like $200, and I think Jeff had let Ethan in on it, and so Ethan hits that, and we're all out in right field.
That's right. He looks out and he's making the money sign. That's right. Oh, that was funny. We're like, Jeff, what happened there? He's like, oh, I told E, like better hit that home run, dude. It's worth some money.
I was afraid to tell Kyle because I didn't want him swinging for the fences.
By the way, Ethan Brown, way to go off today.
Did he?
Oh my God.
I saw he was 2 for 2 when I looked last.
Oh, dude, he smoked a couple balls. I think he had 2 doubles, a hard ground ball down the left field line, but then he smoked one like a line drive, and then he hit another one that we all thought was a home run.
Oh, yeah.
And Noah Warner made a good play and dropped back and caught it.
That's a big. Was it at home or
it was at Rockland?
It was at Rockland. Okay. I would say Whitney's a big park.
Whitney is also a big park.
Yeah.
Whitney's bigger than Rockland, I believe.
So.
I haven't been there enough to really know, but and then in the first, I think it was the number 3. I forget who it was. Someone smoked a ball, and E made a great play in center. Just dropped back, and he's a great defender.
Yeah.
But it's good to see him back in action.
Yeah, I saw him make a catch in Tahoe. I don't think you were at that tournament. It might have been one of the last ones we played together. And he made a spectacular diving Jim Edmonds kind of catch out in center. And it was just like, did that just happen?
It was fun to see him. I know I waver sometimes on the celebrations and all that. But it was cool to see him after his second double, just kind of let his hair down. You know what I mean? Because he's always just so quiet. Hey, whatever. And it's just good to see good kids do good. I agree. You always, I get it. Whitney had to bring up, unfortunately, their ace.
I heard.
He's down for the week. So
just a week though, right?
I think so. I saw him. He said he's feeling good. He's just resting. So I hope
Stings kid.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And he's a great kid too. Every time I talk to him, I really like the parents. They're super nice. Cordon's going to be a baller.
No doubt.
I mean, he is a baller, but it was a bummer that we didn't get to go like ace versus ace. Yeah. Because he's good.
He is.
And
good.
So they brought up a kid. I mean, God, the kid threw good, dude. He was a sophomore and he had a hammer and he threw it and he did good. We got a couple runs was what it was, but
nice to see the young kids come up and compete.
It was funny. I was telling the story to a couple. Oh God, I think it was the Reds were there, and I was remember the story. Joey being a freshman, he comes out, and it must have been fall ball because it wasn't, or it was preseason. What it was, and he comes out from hoops. So he played football, then he played hoops, then he comes out from hoops, makes varsity, gets on the bump against Franklin, and Jordy Lopez is just the guy. He's one of the best sticks, I think, like high school sticks I've ever seen, just because the dude doesn't let a strike go by him. And if you throw him something off speed, he just like flick it away like he's swatting a fly, you know? And no wonder he's at Cal. And I don't even know. I mean, I'm sure he's killing it there. I haven't looked, but Jordy, I think Jordy gets on, or maybe he smoked something. We luckily caught it or something. But anyways, Nolan Stevens, who's he's at Mississippi State.
Yeah.
He was the big name at that year, right?
Yeah.
Joey's a freshman. He's a senior, and he's just monster of a dude, And Joey gets him, I think, 0-2. And I see him look at me, and he's like, oh, yeah, I got this, And he goes, lefty. I think he tries to throw him a slider, and I think he put it off the fence, in left field, opposite field, right? Just flicks it, dude.
Yeah.
It was funny. And he gets the second and does his bow and arrow celebration, right? And I remember Joey's face like, damn,
welcome to varsity baseball.
Yeah. Like he was tall at the time, but he's, buck 38 or something. And so I was telling that story because I said, man, this kid's got really good composure. I think he was a sophomore, but he did good, man. He did. I thought he did pretty good considering, right? He probably got told maybe today, hey, dude, you're going. Yeah. And by the way, come over here. Yeah, face Rockland. And some good sticks, dude, on our team. We're hitting good. So, no, that's cool. So, did Roseville Tigers get to play today?
No, we did not, man.
And
Del Campo canceled. And
yeah,
we play Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week.
What is it?
We're going to play Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week. So
3 in a row.
They moved today to Thursday.
Okay, so
weather permitting.
Yeah. Well, it looks like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is going to be good.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think tomorrow it might be a little rainy.
Yeah.
It's Monday night here.
And we'll be at home on Wednesday, and we have a tarp. So hopefully if it's going to
Nice.
be bad, they put it out.
Yeah, I think we're supposed to play at Whitney tomorrow, and they have a tarp also. So hopefully they're able to.
Have you ever put one of those things out?
I've been a part of one trying to get it back in.
It takes a lot of people, man.
It's not easy.
It's not easy at all.
No, it sure isn't. I mean, they look simple enough. You know, it's like just roll it out there. But I think the best I ever saw, I mean, hands down, was Mizzou softball. They had one that went over the entire infield. Now, granted, it's a smaller field.
Yeah.
But it poured. It was like storming. And we were out there for this like elite camp. You know, it was only, I don't know, 20 something girls. And I'm like, there's no way we're going to play. There's no way, you know? And they were doing the tour and they said, oh no. I mean, those people in the Midwest, the South, whatever that's considered,
they're used to that.
They do. They know what they're doing, you know? Yeah. And so sure enough, we walk out there and there's like inches of water on this tarp. And these dudes come out and they throw these like little jacks. I don't know what they were, but they go underneath the tarp, they lift it up, and then there's a blower that goes underneath it. And it just started funneling the water off of the tarp into these drains. Wow. And then the infield was absolutely perfect. The outfield, they let it sit for, I don't know, 10 minutes. It was sunny. They played. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. So, I mean,
probably had some good drainage out there.
Probably, right? Like, I mean, SEC field.
Did you guys, not to change the venue, but like Cooperstown, did you ever experience rain in Cooperstown? They have those little rollers out there that would suck up the water, and they'd get those fields playable in like minutes.
I mean, Cooperstown's a great topic, right?
Yeah.
Did you guys go once or twice?
We went once.
Okay, so we also went once, and, you know, Angel and I were talking about, you know, just some of the regrets, right? You know, and so missions, we start missions at, man, was it 8U, 9U? A couple of great dads in San Carlos, and at that point, I think I was coaching, and 12-year-old year was when we moved up to Rockland, and so we had to make a decision, you know, because he started playing West Coast Federals, who had a Cooperstown bid, and his missions team was a Cooperstown bid. Now, by all accounts, the missions team was a phenomenal city team. Everybody went to school together. Everybody was from the same city, and it was a really fun group. I mean, great parents, great kids, and we were going to go the week before. So let's call it the first week of August, and then the West Coast Federals were going to go the second week of August. So in theory, we could have went back-to-back weekends, you know? And I just was like, I don't know if I can afford that, you know? And then at Tri-City, you know, we had this vision of like, we're going to Williamsport, you know? And they had gone the year before. Yeah. And, oh man, they added Joey, they added a couple other kids, and they were stacked, you know? And it was not meant to be. But, you know, you had to and part of me was happy because I think at the time, you know, we always ran a roster of 12 guys. And so for the missions, and at Cooperstown, you could only bat 12. That was their rule. So we had 13 now because we had added a buddy and we had a good time. And then when Joey bowed out, you know, we had to leave. It sucked, man. I felt bad because it was kids I had coached, and it would have been a fun like families. Exclamation, you know, to that like venue. And so that was one thing I don't think I touched on last week, where I'm like, man, that sucked because they had a blast. They made a run. They did really well. All 12 kids got to hit, and they, you know, it's funny because some of the arguments that me and the coaches would have, you know, having a beer on a Friday night or whatever, trying to
coach meetings,
set the lineup, you know?
Yeah.
And I really went from wanting to win all the time, you know? And that wasn't the goal of that team. You know, that team we won a ton, but we really tried to get everybody in. And then I had come up with a system where like, hey, everyone will play the exact fair amount, you know, because all of us coaches were dads. And so we were trying to make sure that, you know, and I don't know if I touched on that, but, you know, one of those regrets is like, man, I think some of my favorite stories about Little League were the kids that don't still play baseball, but had a good time that year,
Yeah.
you know? And like, there is time for competition. There's time for winning. There's time for all out,
Right.
just like, dude, we got to win, man. We're not switching positions. No left-handed shortstops, like, but you start that
Left-handed
early.
catchers.
Yeah. You start that early, man. You start like 8, 9, you're going, this is stupid. He's never going to play that, in college. And you just fast forward and you
Right.
think, dude, like, if I could go back and tell myself,
Yeah.
I think I'd lean in my ear and be like, hey man, enjoy this time, with these kids.
Right.
Cause like, they're just having a blast.
Right. Now, did you not do it because work, or did you not do it because of money, or just because you just didn't think you could take 2 weeks and just be out there for that long?
I mean, it was everything, right? There was no way. I was new. I was up here as a cop.
So
I
it
wasn't
was
going to
work
get.
in a sense.
Yeah. I mean, it was everything. It was
Yeah.
like, hey, you got to pick one weekend, or you got to
Yeah.
pick 1 week, and then okay, now do you pick feds or do you pick missions? And then okay, the missions one is first. There's a high probability that you won't even make that week because that was like the first round of regionals, which was like, we thought was a sure thing,
Right.
and I didn't think I was going to make the second week. So the 12 versus the 13 guys, I'm like, hey, for sure Joey helps that team,
Mhm.
but, it'd be nice for the other kids to be able to also bat every game, and not like I'm falling on the sword, like, oh, I'm such a saint, but just like there was so many different things for that
Right.
decision making, and we had moved, right. And it was kind of like, those were his buds, but then you move and he has new buds,
Right.
and so it was kind of like, it was just more logistics, I think,
Yeah.
than anything,
Yeah.
but Cooperstown was
Legit.
oh, dude, that was such a good time.
Yeah. So that was when we were in the dad coach travel ball phase, because the first 3 years of travel ball was dedicated, was the Lobos, the Wood Creek Lobos. So
Nice.
5
Okay.
of those kids played for Wood Creek, 3 of them played at Roseville, and 2 play at West Park. We had 12 kids. One ended up leaving because he was a year behind, and they couldn't afford to go to Cooperstown when we were going. So they said, well, we're going to go join another team, play
Yeah.
age
Yeah, yeah,
appropriate,
yeah.
and we're going to go the next year. Well, unfortunately for that kid, COVID hit.
Oh man.
And then, but now it's kind of cool though, like that of the 11 that went to Cooperstown, 10 of them play high school baseball.
nice. That's
And
pretty
the one
good.
who left the team is just got a scholarship to play golf at Fullerton.
Wow.
And
Okay.
he was a heck of a little baseball player. But it's just kind of cool. Like
Yeah,
they're all
yeah,
still
yeah,
playing.
yeah.
So when we play those schools, we all get the photos,
that is cool.
Yeah.
I think
But-
Cooperstown. I think my grandpa phase. Like, dude, I'm going back to Cooperstown.
No. You know how many grandparents? Like I think there was almost as many grandparents at our Cooperstown trip as there were parents.
Yeah, I think
It was fun.
Yeah,
man.
the surprising thing for me with Cooperstown was how many people were there like multiple times in a year. I
Right.
met a guy from the Northwest. I can't remember his name right now, but they had been there like 3 weeks earlier, and like then there was a team from Florida. They were there to win. He's like, "Oh, no parents are here. They can watch on TV. We just bring the kids." And I was like, "Huh?" Like, damn.
It's 12 of you, man.
But, like now I really am like scratching my head on that one because it's like
Nobody remembers who won Cooperstown in 2000.
nobody, dude, nobody.
Yeah.
But when you're there, it's pretty cool. I remember.
I mean, not to take away from the importance of it, but in all reality, like
in all reality, dude,
Yeah.
it's a very expensive vacation to the Baseball Hall of Fame, a couple cool old school shack type greasy spoon diners,
oh yeah,
and then you get to play some games against teams you have never played. And like, let me see if this strikes a nerve. You ever traveled for travel ball to play the team that lives right next door?
So my buddy's kid he's an 8th grader now, going into high school next year, and so he's going through this like whole what do I do? Do I do the Alpha League thing? And I even contacted Favre and said, hey, you guys tryouts over. Long story short, like they decided to go play for the Auburn Aces.
Okay.
There's some local major league scouts who run that organization.
Nice.
So it's a good. They're doing some cool things. So he decided to go that route. But when they were in Cooperstown, now mind you, and they went to the not Dreams, but they went to All-Star Village.
Okay,
So it's a smaller venue.
Okay, so Cooperstown Dream Park is the original
Right.
deal.
The 104 teams.
No
whatever.
air conditioning, they're
Yes,
bunks, but
yes.
it's the original. And then All-Star
All-Star
Village is the new one because where there's a need, where there's money to be made, there's a will.
I think they have 56 teams, air conditioned bunks.
But I heard it's really good looking park.
It's a nice place.
Yeah.
But they went out there, and of course, now mind you, like there was less teams than Dreams, but they went out there and they didn't play any local teams in round robin or like the 6 seeds, the 6 games. But in the semis, they faced the Auburn Aces. They were with BBT,
Jesus.
So they play the Auburn Aces, and like a lot of these kids are friends. They've grown up playing together.
Right.
Now they're playing each other in Cooperstown
in New York.
But at least it wasn't like in your round robin play.
Wow.
But they did end up playing the Auburn Aces. And when we went with the Lobos, like the Spikes, all the kids that are with you guys now, the Spikes, they were there the week before us. We were there week 2. They were there week 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My buddy, Shug, we call him, Sal is his dad, but he had gone a couple times, and the ever elusive home run, because everybody hit home runs, and Shug is a stud hitter. You know what I mean? He hit a ball into the wall that broke the wall, but it was 6 inches below the home run line, and it was not a home run. And I always remember, like, dang, poor Joe. He had gone. I maybe it was twice or whatever, but the dude was a stud, and he still is. He's doing his thing. But like, it was just like, oh man, everybody wanted him to hit one.
He's like, anybody can hit it over the fence. I hit it
through. I mean, he hit it, dude, and it broke the thing, and there was this big, and we're like, I mean, that's got to count for something, right? Like,
to me it does.
It was great.
I'm a line drive hitter, man.
Yeah. Oh, dude, yeah. So was Shug.
No, I meant him saying that.
Yeah. Like, listen, like that wall's 10 feet tall, dude. We don't play any 10 feet wall, whatever.
Well, it had to be. It was 200 feet.
Oh my God. I remember we played a Hawaiian team in the whatever it was. We had won a couple games, and we get to this night game, and it's Hawaii, and Hawaii was known for some stacked teams.
Oh, yeah.
They're always good, dude. Like Little League, whatever. It doesn't matter. So Joe, and I can only describe him as like Rufio from the Hook, from Hook. With, like the Mohawk with
I don't know
Robin Williams.
Well, I know the movie, but I never really watched it.
Okay. So there's the guy who's like, he's kind of the leader kid, and he's a famous kind of actor, but he's got this like Mohawk,
Okay.
So this kid had like a faux hawk, but God, he was huge. And they were swinging a bat that we had never seen. Nobody knew what it was, where it came from. It didn't matter, right? Because at Cooperstown, it was like, hey,
power hitters.
You bring it, you swing it, right? And Joey hangs this curveball, and it was great because it was the last game of the night. And I think I was talking about this, like how many home runs he had given up, So I don't know if I mentioned this one, but it wasn't included in last week. Here's one that he, 200-foot field.
Yeah.
He hit it out of the ballpark into the next field that was like up a hill and, 100 feet down the road. And it was at nighttime with the entire Cooperstown people watching, all the kids and stuff, because it was the last game of the night.
Yeah.
And it was like, holy crap. The ball just disappeared into atmosphere. I think he hit it to Hawaii.
It's still orbiting.
From New York, dude. But
did SpaceX just rescue it from the galaxy?
It was like lefty on righty, this curveball, this super Uncle Charlie, like down, and he just dug it out. I was like, oh my Lord. But no, Cooperstown was awesome.
Yeah.
The rain was cool. And
we only lost one game to it, and we didn't lose the game to get it rescheduled. But I've heard stories of people playing games at 2 a.m. We never had to do that.
We did not have to do that.
Yeah, we did have to play an extra one the following day, but it wasn't a big deal.
It was weird, though, how they would say, oh, hey, everybody go inside. There's a lightning warning. And it would be like beautiful skies out. And you'd say, like, what? And they'd say, got to get inside. You got to get inside. And then you'd walk inside. And all of a sudden, it'd be this horrendous downpour.
Yeah.
And lightning. And you're like, what the heck just happened? Where am I? Like,
do you remember the it's so different back there, the sirens?
No.
Like, you never heard them when they're out there, like the warnings. Like
yeah. To let you know that, hey, you got to go inside. Yeah. Because we're like, what is that? Like, you got to get inside. Yeah. I'm like, I don't even know what that is.
I was thinking like the Russians and the Cubans were coming down like Wolverine.
Yeah, like a missile crisis was about to happen.
Wolverine.
Singing Red Dawn, dude.
Dawn, yeah. So when we were
playing our radiator,
we were playing Friday at home, and I'm not kidding, man. Like this airplane comes over, and they must have been dropping into the roads at the fairgrounds, Placer County Fairgrounds. But all of a sudden, there was like 10 to 12 parachuters up in the air coming down, not far from us, and we're all like Wolverines.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's wild when you're in different places and they got it figured out.
Yeah,
But it's not normal to us. So it's a very
No.
like, culture shock. Which,
definitely.
will be fun. Like for my kids, I think it's going to be it's going to be a culture shock, right? Sav's going to be in South Carolina and
yeah.
hurricanes. And I think someone said it today. I can't remember who I was talking to, but they were like, well, they think we have, it was Chase Cotton's dad. He was like, people think we have earthquakes all the time, but I've never had an earthquake, and it's like, that's probably true, right? You think Derek was saying that, you probably think, oh, I can deal with the hurricane, but maybe they won't have that many, the same way that people think we get earthquakes all the time.
Their rationale is we know when they're coming, and you don't know when an earthquake is coming. I literally never felt an earthquake until 2 or 3 years ago.
Really?
We had one out here that it hit, and I was sitting in a chair and I felt it. I had never felt a single earthquake in my entire life. For whatever reason. You were in the Bay Area when that big one hit.
It's wild because we're talking about it. I'm thinking, well, that's right, dude. We're at Beckner Shelter, San Bruno Park, 7th grade. We're in a flag football game against, I think it was Crestmore. They were like Tony Graff was and I remember I was at Bel Air Elementary, and it was like a big game for us. And I'll never forget, no cell phones back then, right? And we were, I don't know if it was halftime or it was like during the game, something was going on, and we felt it. We're like, oh, that's crazy. But we weren't around anything. We didn't know that the bridge had collapsed or buildings had fallen down or, those kind of things. So I'll never forget,
Did you
finished
feel
the
it, though?
game. Oh, yeah. We felt it.
Okay.
We shake, and we just continued the game because nobody had a cell phone to be like, oh, my God, look what's going on in the news. This is a big deal.
Right.
Stop what you're doing. We're like, well, this is 5th grade. No, it couldn't have been 7th grade. It would have been like 5th grade.
Okay.
And it was elementary school. And then we finished the game. Then we get in the car. We're driving home. And I live right next to the railroad tracks because I grew up in a really prestigious neighborhood. But the train had actually stopped right in front of my house, even though there was no stop there. Just,
right.
I guess, I don't know, maybe there was a
damage to the tracks
safety or something like that, whatever. But my mom, she's such a good human being, like that's something that might've skipped me. I always feel like I do try and be a good person, but like my mom, my sister, my wife, they're like, oh man, these people look like they need help. I'm just kind of like, they'll figure it out, But my mom, sure enough, man, she walks over there. I think she brings some water, and she says, hey, if anybody wants to use my phone to call someone to let them know they're safe, feel free. We must have had a line of like 15, 20 people, because there's no cell phones.
Yeah.
So people were like, hey, I need to call my wife, my family, my whatever. So we had all these strangers at my house, So that was something pretty cool, I think, that I can look back on as a kid. It was just like, good on my mom that she opened the door, walked across the street. Hey, do you need help? And we kind of miss some of that nowadays, right? Where it's like you see someone pull over, you don't even think about pulling over them. It's like, well, they got a cell phone, they got OnStar or whatever.
They don't have to walk 2 miles to a call box.
They're not doing that, right? Is there even call boxes anymore?
I don't think so.
I don't think I've seen one in a while, but you used to see those and think, okay, well, there's one. All right, in case I get a flat tire or whatever. But anyways, yeah. So earthquakes versus hurricanes. I don't know. I don't know if, I think Arkansas got a tornado like a year ago.
Okay.
And
those are more a Midwest thing, upper mid. Like
I don't think Arkansas is big time prone to the tornado, but they did get one.
Okay.
It did jack up a town. It really wreaked havoc on it. So,
but they're gonna have to deal with the biggest thing on a daily basis, the humidity.
Yeah, is South Carolina, you think, humid? I don't know.
I'm only assuming so.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like
I know Arkansas is.
Yeah, so today was a good example, right? Junior wakes up early, goes to the gym, comes in. He's like, man, I don't think we're playing today. It's raining, it's cold. I'm like, I don't know, dude. Like, I think it's going to clear up. Comes home at 1. He's like, there's no way we're playing. It's hailing. And I'm like, I think we're still playing, dude. Like they got the field covered. He's like, God, it's so cold. I'm like, well, what do you think is going to happen in Arkansas, dude? Like, if you go there, it's going to be, they play like 38 degree.
Yeah.
Like, well, at least I'll have, this and that, some sort of, I was proud of him though. He went out today and did his thing and it was good. But
that's good.
No, yeah.
It's just weird though, if you look at like just in the small area that we live in, like the different weather patterns.
Yeah.
Like our game got canceled and you guys played. and there was hail this morning. Like, and there was a good amount. Like, if we could have played it, if we were playing at Roseville, I think we probably would have played at Roseville today.
There was hail today, right before first pitch.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, super light, but
Okay.
legit hail. Like, you definitely were like, whoa, it's hailing. I'm like, man, is it gonna like? Because I had my doubts that were any of the pro league guys going to come. The major league guys, and they did.
So have they been to every game that
Yeah.
he's pitched?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, when
I mean, not the same amount.
So when we played you, this was, I mean, I know you probably touched base on, but like there were 25 dudes with radar guns at our game against you guys.
I know that was insane.
I have
was
like that
insane.
picture. I show people all the time.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, it was
Yeah,
pretty. It was like, whoa, this is crazy. Today there was a guy from the Braves. Do you know what Edgertronics is?
Mm-mm.
It's like I'm don't misquote me. 30,000, 20,000, 10,000. It's a camera that does super, super high speed, slow speed, whatever. I don't know what it does.
Are they looking like spinning on the ball?
So this
stuff
guy
like that?
flew from Florida to the game
Ooh.
today. He's from the Braves. There's like 3 in the country, and he brings this machine and he set it up. And I knew what it was because I saw it when we went to Area Codes. I'm like, oh, dude, that's a big deal. Because I asked the guy, I go, man, what's that? SoCal Steve. I don't know if you've ever seen him. He's like Perfect Game maybe now, Steve.
Okay.
But the guy is great. He covers all the kids. He always just has good stuff, I linked up with him maybe on Instagram or something. And he said, hey, I got this video of Joey at Area Code Select if you want it. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Thank you. And like, I have a camera that's pretty good. It's like, I don't know, $3,000. And I bought it when he was down. And I'm like, okay, this will value itself out because I'll get some good video. And I said, oh man, what is this one? He goes, oh, this is, I think it's called Edgertronics. He goes, oh no, this is, it was a lot of money, like more than a car.
So, but there's only 3 in the country, like as far as
So,
MLB teams.
The Braves, each team only owns 3 of them.
Got it. Okay.
So
each MLB team has 3.
like essentially, yeah, he was saying, hey,
So there's roughly 90 of these things in the country.
I'm sure, well, SoCal Steve has one. He's not with a major league team, right?
Right.
But to justify, let's say it's $25,000 or $20,000,
Right.
like it's not $10,000. I'm pretty sure that because photographers have equipment that's that
Right.
expensive,
Well, I was just trying to equate it to how impressive is that they would bring that out to watch Joey. How does that compare to having 25 radar guns in the stands? I think it's probably pretty close.
So that was cool because
Yeah.
how he explained it was like, or how it was explained to me was that, hey, listen, for certain teams to go on certain guys come draft day, you have to have this on you. And so we didn't know, like I'm assuming his agent probably handled that phone call and stuff like that, but nobody, like I didn't know who the guy was until he was leaving. And actually what happened was I saw the camera. I'm like, oh, that's that expensive camera. It was hailing. I see the camera. I have one of those little chair clip umbrellas for the sun, really.
Right.
And I'm like, hey, man, I have this thing. So I brought it over to put it over our camera that records the game, but it's just a cell phone. And then I was like, well, I don't want to block his view because he's taking a video of my son, right? So like, I really don't want to block him just selfishly. So anyways, I said to him, hey, man, would you like to use this umbrella? He's like, oh, no. He's like, do you think it's going to rain again? And I'm like, well, I don't know, but like if it does, you're welcome to use it. He's like, hey, man, that's really nice of you. Thanks. I might take you up. He's like, I think I'm going to get some for our group, and so he's the one that we only have 3 of these in the country. So, and he was like, and then.
So is he a scout or more of like a?
No, he's a straight analytics guy, which was kind of cool.
Guy. Okay.
So he doesn't he's just, hey, I know how to work this super expensive camera. I fly out, I take this video. He had another expensive camera like mine, I would call it a regular camera.
Mm-hmm.
And then he even had cell phones. So he was like, he got
multitasking.
he got like some side video and then, whatever. And then he had some gum, right? I said, hey man, I'll tell you what, I'll trade you a piece of gum for me offering you that umbrella. And he starts laughing, right? He goes, yeah, no problem. I go, sorry, dude, I got pitcher's dad, dry mouth. He's like, oh, I feel that. I know that. And he's like, he's doing great. I'm like, oh, thanks, whatever. Yeah. So when he's leaving, he said, hey, I'm so-and-so and I'm with the Braves. I'm like, oh, cool, dude. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even
So you didn't know that ahead of time?
No chance. No chance. Joey didn't know either.
Okay.
Because he's like, who was there? And I'm like,
so since we had pizza before our game, which was by now, 3 weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
At least, probably. And you had mentioned that, you'd had some people here talking to him.
Yeah.
Is that intensified even more?
So it actually
Because
slows.
he's been doing very well.
Yeah, so it slows down, right? The
Okay.
thought process was, hey, we want to do all the in-house visits before the season, and then
They
we
want to
don't
get
want
out and look at kids.
we don't want to what's the word? Like we don't want to distract them. Like just go do your thing. Now you're in season because all that stuff was before season. Because I think the game against you was game 1, right?
For you, it was our game 2.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it was, it was game 1 for us, and so then what's happened now is that because he had bad games too, or what less than good games, but he's doing good. But what it seems to be now is like the Padres came out, and then I think it was his boss came out, or like the Twins national. Like so, what's happening is like
The national guys.
less quantity, more quality. I don't want to say quality. That sounds like a bad way. The boss will
It's
come out.
escalating. And,
Yeah. Like I think how it works is, the local guy comes out, they say, hey man, this guy's good, this guy's bad, whatever. And then they
escalated up the chain.
yeah, they say, hey man, you got to come see this guy. And they go, okay, cool. Like, let's do it. And so you're seeing new people, is what's happening.
Yeah.
And, I think it was, it was funny because it was explained to me that, well, the better dressed they are, the higher up they are.
Makes sense.
Which it does, but it's only only a couple teams, and I'll leave those team names out of it.
Right.
But some guys show up and you're like, dude, what are those shoes? Like really fancy shoes, or like a fancy, and you're like, are you still a scout though? Or whatever.
Yeah.
But most of the guys look very similar, right? Like very athletic and some hokas.
Dress for comfort. Because
yeah.
they let us in watch ball games in weather.
In the weather and all that stuff,
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of where, it's changed a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, that first game was wild, but I think everybody comes out and he's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, right? Somebody's going to say, hey, nah, I'm not sold, or hey, this guy is good.
I think it's pretty hard not to be though, man. He definitely looks apart, and is like what he's doing on the field is definitely backing that up.
Yeah, I just don't. It's like I think Z. My buddy, he always tells me the best. He says it's never as good as you think, and it's never as bad as you think.
Right.
You know, so it's like when the guy doesn't say anything to you or says, "Hey, good job," it's like maybe he's just you don't know.
Right.
So that is where we're at.
Well, the one thing that I think we've both probably heard throughout our kids' journey from once they hit high school and colleges were starting to get serious and different things, they wouldn't be watching you if they didn't know you were good. And,
for sure.
And they want to see how you handle failure sometimes too. And,
yeah.
Excuse me. So, I think, obviously they know he's good, and everybody. It's baseball. Baseball is a game of failure, man. Like, I mean, Mike Trout fails like when he was healthy and consistently playing. Fails 70% of the time he steps into the batter's box.
Yeah.
And
he's one of the best of all times.
Yeah, and and I think that is just as important as being successful, and So you've said he's had some better outings than others, but that doesn't always. The bad outing doesn't always mean that that's a bad thing when
it's yeah. I think I've learned that. Or at least what I'm trying to learn is don't let so much ride. Like I was telling Pudge today, I'm like, hey man, I scored the game today. And I don't normally score the game when he's pitching because I'm like, oh, I want to watch.
Yeah.
But like it was such a nice distraction, just ball, strike, hit, out. It took me out of living on every pitch.
Right.
Like my body was gonna fall off a cliff, and I think I enjoyed it more. And I told him, I said, hey, I think I'm going to just start scoring from now on. At least when he's pitching, you could score whenever you want. I don't care. But, initially it's like, oh, I don't want to be scoring my kid's pitching because, I'm going to do something. I'm going to give him not a hit or not a whatever. And it's like, who gives a F, dude? Like, I'm going to score it right. If you have a problem, feel free to ask me. Yeah. If I'm wrong, I'll change it. Like, I'm not that above it. But, I think it's so. Let me ask you this. So your son plays what position?
He's a catcher.
And he is Kyle
Pettersen.
Yep. And Kyle is, I think he's killing it, but you were saying that.
When you were talking about what you were just saying, like the not scoring the game and like just
Yeah.
kind of taking
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
pressure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he started off his senior year. It was like the first 6 games, 1 for 19 stretch. I mean, it was hard to watch. But I know he's kind of a streaky kid, and he has those kind of moments. And I was like, he's not stressed out. Why am I stressed out?
Yeah.
It was starting to affect me, and I'd wake up going, God, he went 0 for 3 today, man. I'm like, wait a minute. And I,
dude.
you know, like, well, what if all of a sudden Davis is like, well, what's wrong with this kid? What if we don't want him anymore? I'm like, okay, hold on a second. Like, he's going to be fine. He's going to snap out of this. And he finally has, and he's on an absolute tear. But when we played River Valley last week, and no disrespect to River Valley, they're a great bunch of kids, and they embrace the fact that they know they're not very good, and but they have good attitudes.
Because where is River Valley?
Yuba City.
Okay, cool.
And you know, they're not the best baseball team, but they compete and they do everything they can, but it's not a competitive team.
To Roseville, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and so with the first game, you know, we're out there, and Kyle had been on a tear, and he goes 1 for 4 against a kid throwing like 65 miles an hour.
Right.
He had a heck of a curveball.
The old nubber. Yeah.
And he struggled, and so that was at home, and so and it's kind of what we were talking about with scoring. My mom and I drive to Yuba City to go watch and I record, or my wife records every single at bat this kid has. Like I have like 2 pictures of me playing baseball in my life.
Dude, yeah, that's funny you say that.
And
I
he's
have,
got almost every single at bat of his.
Going back to
baseball
7U, 8U.
Oh, T-ball.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, it's stupid. Maybe not T-ball, but farm and all those other levels. So I told my mom, I said, you know what, Mom? I go, you know, after last game and the way the season kind of started, I go, I kind of just want to sit back, relax, and watch him play. I don't think I'm going to record. Well, we got their best pitcher game 2, and he was pumping, you know, 82. And I'm like, oh, he's not going to struggle against the kid, you know.
Because this guy's now throwing kind of like
good.
Like
more like normal what he would see.
Yeah, for sure.
Right after the national anthem, Kyle's leading off. Now they moved him to lead off. And I'm like, you know what? Something's telling me I got to go record. And they have a really good spot to record. They've got around their backstop, they've got like a bench you can stand at, you know, and you can literally just put your arm, like an armrest.
Okay.
And, you know, so you could sit there, hypothetically, if you could drink beers there, you'd be putting your beer on there. And it's a great place to watch a game, great field. And I go up there, second pitch of the game, he goes yard.
Oh, nice.
And I wasn't going to record.
And then you're like, okay. Well, do you guys have a game changer?
We don't typically. We do,
Gosh,
but they don't do it live. So if it doesn't get recorded by us, it doesn't get.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
Okay. Which is kind of a travesty nowadays, you know, like, but I do so much of the game changer that, like, you know, I have a lot of parents that say, hey dude, I'm really thankful that you get the video and stuff, because you do want to see the video. I mean, you know, whether it be to face brag or whatever, but you know,
but we also send it to, he works out with Andrew Susak every Saturday, 8 o'clock. He hits with him for a half hour. And Andrew wants to see the videos.
I've heard that. I've heard he's very, you know, I think I met the uncle today.
John, yeah, he's a great guy. And so Andrew's like, dude, he goes, Eric, when we leave like lessons, because I still go. We live across the street from where he does them. I still go. I go, I'm at the point.
I like to go to Savannah's too, you know.
I'm at the point right now, my kid's about to leave me.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, I'm not missing anything. I am literally, if he's home, I'm home sitting on the couch watching, like, you know, the Angels game today with him. Like, I'm soaking up every single second I can because he's going to be gone next year.
Yeah, I think that's what we're here for, right?
Yeah, I'm going to enjoy every moment I can with him.
Joey, I had to leave. I didn't have to. I left because, you know, they're doing their cleanup and stuff like that. And it's funny, right? He's like, text me, oh man, I gave up too many walks, right? Like his stat line today, I think, was 5 innings, 6 Ks, 3 walks, and 3 hits. Gave up 1 run. I'm like, dude, fucking shut up, man. Like Whitney's a good team, dude. You know what I mean? And you got out of some hairy, for sure. You didn't want to be in those situations, but like, it's all about how you deal with it, you know? And he's like, oh.
Getting out of it.
Yeah. And then he called me, hey, what'd you think? And I'm like, oh, like my little buddy, right? My 6'5", 215-pound, full-grown man, you know? It's like, I love it. I love it, dude. Like, thank you for calling me. Thank you for making me feel like you still want to know what I think, you know, because I'm proud of you. I'm excited for you. I'm like, dude, and even you know, like Z says, right? I don't overpump them, and I don't go crazy either, right? Like if it's a bad game, I just say, hey, dude, whatever, you know, like you said, man, they want to see you struggle, you know? Yeah. It's fine, but that's cool that you got that picture and that.
Well, and I told him I almost didn't record you, Dad. I would have killed you.
Because now he's getting used to it.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
yeah,
man.
yeah. So he loves that. But one thing like I was one of those. It's a cliche. It's a saying, but like I think these kids realize, and I don't think it's 100% true because I know you're a fan of every kid that you've come into
Yeah,
contact with.
yeah.
But like literally on earth, like there's only one man that wants you to be better than he was, and that's your dad.
Always, dude.
And that's 100% accurate. And it's
Tell my kid that all the time.
I wish I'd heard that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
And I wish
No,
I had.
I get it.
And he was like, Dad, I'm taller than you. I'm like, did you? Well, first off, that's not that hard.
Yeah.
I go, but did you think I was rooting against you, buddy?
Bro, I want you to be 6'5", dude. Trust me.
If you're 6'5", I might ask some questions of the wife.
Yeah. Let's see where the mail's going.
But anyway, so yeah, he's had a great week. He's rebounded. I don't know, he's hitting like 540.
Yeah, it looks like he's
hit 3 home runs in 4 games.
I know that when we played you guys, he was literally the guy. Joey's like, okay, well, I know Kyle's the guy I got to worry about. You know what I mean? Like, because it's just that.
And the funny thing is, Kyle said, hey, Daddy, I struggled against some guys I wouldn't normally struggle. I do my best against the best pitching. Yeah. Oh, and if you look back at his track record, he's not lying.
Yeah, because he's locked in, and they're thinking, dude, like, there's just more at stake, right? And I think
more focused.
They know, right? Like, hey, man, this is a good. I told Joey that today. I think one of the kids that got a base hit off him, I'm thinking, oh, this dude's gonna be talking about that hit for a long time. You know what I mean? Like, oh, hey, who's the, that's, maybe I'm just being arrogant, but I'm like, that dude's probably like, dude, that's a good hit off that pitcher. Like, that's going to be my, when I'm old and I'm pitching to my kids, I'm like, yeah, I got to hit on that dude,
One thing I see, do you ever get the prep baseball reports and like that stuff?
I do.
Like the name of it is escaping, but they come with all this stuff. Like they did an interview on a thing on
West
Kyle,
Coast Preps. Yeah, they do a great job.
They do. And they did a thing on Kyle maybe after the last season ended. He had an interview, and I guess they interviewed Carson Moore from Del Oro this last week.
Okay.
And you should go read it because, man, and Jason, his dad, is an outstanding coach. He's the one that coached the Stings.
Yeah.
And the things that Carson said about his dad, like
that's cool.
His inspiration, the things he taught him, the lessons, it was like I kind of almost teared up just because.
Oh wow!
It was just so cool that he as an 18-year-old kid that he they all understand with the time and effort we put into them.
Yeah, I'm as much as an 18-year-old can, right?
Yeah, and to be able to verbalize that in an interview, which is already a stressful situation for a
that
kid.
is cool. That's good to hear.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I thought it was pretty cool.
I think that's what we want, right? You just want. I was messing with John Osterhaus today. He was in the stands, and his kid's at Whitney, and he coaches over at ARC. He's a football coach, and we were up to bat.
Sac State lineman, I think he was back in the day.
Was he?
I think so, yeah.
Makes sense. He's not a small guy. I mean, like, I'm going to sit on his lap tomorrow, I told him. But, yeah, he let out let's get a ground ball. And I looked back, what's up, dude? Like, come on, no cheering. But I forget his son's there, And he's like, I'm kind of, hey, man, if you're going to cheer, you got to go to that side, Yeah. But he's a good dude. And just, talking about just being good people. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we were saying, I just want to see good baseball. And I want to see good things for good kids. Yes, I always want my kid to succeed, but I've learned that sometimes when he doesn't succeed, it's actually a big lesson, and it doesn't show it. That old Garth Brooks saying, right? Some of God's greatest gifts are unanswered prayers. I know it's like very touchy feeling here, but sometimes.
As long as you're not playing footsies with me anymore, man, we're good.
I know. It's happened a couple of times. The camera will get it. I think that sometimes, man, the failures are bigger than the successes.
Yeah.
Because, the no-hitters are great, but if that's all you ever do, I don't know. At some point, you're not going to be throwing those, dude,
To relate this to my kid, like the way the season started, 1 for 19.
Yeah.
And and to not show it and to get an RBI ground out against Folsom and still go 0 for 3, but we scored 2 runs. He knocked in one of them. We won 2-1. He's like, I knocked in one of the runs, Dad. I may not have had a great personal day, but I helped our team win.
But that's huge. And he knows that.
And I was talking to Andrew Susak, and he goes, I can tell your kid, he doesn't let stuff bother him. That's what makes him different than a lot of the other kids that come in.
That's cool.
I see a lot of kids who are basket cases. And every time every time there's something going wrong, they struggle. They send me videos and what's going on? What's wrong? What's wrong?
Yeah, there's some easy fix. And you're like, bro,
and I go,
listen.
He's going to cure everything. Well, it's a hard game,
No,
and he goes, that's the one thing that separates your kid from some of the other ones is that he doesn't let that stuff bother him. And I said he didn't get that from me.
Yeah, because it's bothering me. Yeah. 1 for 19, I'm gripping, dude.
Gripping.
And I want to see some action here.
But then he says to me, and it kind of justified and made me feel good. It's because you don't put pressure on him. I don't go home and say anything. Like, like I might ask him questions about the game, but I'm not like, hey, dude, what the fuck is going on? Excuse the language, but
are you swinging at first pitches?
Yeah. What are you thinking, man?
Yeah.
I don't do that to him. I mean, there's part of me that as a coach and a dad that may want to say something. I just let it be.
But
it's not going to help.
So we went out with some friends this weekend. We went to see Jim Gaffigan.
He's funny.
So he was, dude, that guy's, like, I had to look him up because I'm just like, who is he? What is, like, he's in some movies. He had a great bit. I mean, it was really funny. But anyways, at dinner, we're with some softball parents and the dad, and he was saying, oh man, listen to the podcast, and I got to go back. His parents aren't doing so well, and they live far away. And he was like, but I don't want to miss the tournament. And Angel and I were like, hey man, like, miss the tournament. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. You don't want to. And I didn't want to miss anything either, but miss it. And though he was saying, yeah, but so my wife, and Angel's very similar, right? They didn't play. So they just expect a result because of the work that they see put in, but more importantly, the monetary investment, right? The money for the lessons. And so Johanna was saying, like, yeah, it's funny, like, I'll say to her, like, come on, you can't be striking out. Like, we're at home, these lessons. And like, and I said, that's pretty funny because you're right. Like, if we sent our kid to piano lessons, she's like, exactly. I want to see the recital. I want to see you perform the piano lessons. I'm like, God, it's a great point because in sports, that's not how it works.
It's 100%.
Like,
the piano's just sitting there.
Yeah, you can go to all the hitting lessons you want. And don't get me wrong, you do try and attribute your successes to the lessons and the extra work you put in. But like, this is a hard game. And it doesn't necessarily equate to like, the more I spend on this lesson, the more hits I will get. It doesn't happen. It's not the way it is.
But the thing is, I haven't taken Kyle to a lot of different people over the years. Maybe a couple of lessons here and there. But what I thought was cool is how invested he gets in the kids.
Susak?
Yeah, and he was like, bro, I'm so happy he's hitting now. He goes, I can sleep.
So great story about him. I think, I don't know if it was you or Chad gave me his number. So a buddy of mine, softball buddy, has a younger son that has been playing football and he got hurt. I said, hey, who do you guys recommend? And I said, oh, well, this guy's good. We don't use him because Joey doesn't do that. But so he came down like 2 hours. He's from Chico. Came down, hit with Andrew for maybe maybe an hour, like start off. Mm-hmm. And I guess Andrew really liked him and told him, hey, man, I want to see you kind of go to the right side, and stay back. And he's a freshman playing up on JV. And so he went home that day, or maybe the next day or something, got to play and hit a triple off the wall. And my boy said, oh, it was really cool because, hey, man, we need to get this kid back in here. Yeah. And I thought, oh, that's awesome. That he is invested. I see the uncle. I met him today. He's been in a couple more games. And now he might his son's in the big leagues, you know what I mean? So
his son's in the minors.
Well, drafted. Played at Arizona. And, seems like a good dude. And he's at the games. And I don't know if he misses it or he's watching. It seems like he's there to watch the kids that they coach or train.
Yep.
And I think that's pretty cool, man. Yeah. That, because you could probably be doing all sorts of things.
And one thing we haven't really touched base on, I know that you guys talked about last week, was the recruiting process.
Yeah. I would love to do that.
Yeah.
So I think let's get into that. Yeah. So we were talking about recruiting, and I think that's a good topic. So with Kyle, how did you talked about Alpha, you talked about how the recruiting process was different, but what did you mean by that?
Well, I think for Joey and Kyle, they're going to have very different experiences. Like, we always joke, and it's nothing like you can't teach 6'5" and lefty and throw 90 plus. Doesn't mean that, like, I'm not saying that like you're 6'5" and you're a lefty that automatically means you're going to be successful. There's a lot of hard work that goes into that.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's a lot of intangibles. Not everybody who's 6'5" has the coordination and the ability to do what other kids do. But some kids don't stand out just by appearance on a field.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right.
And like, so Kyle's thing is he's 6 foot. He's you can tell the kid hits the gym, but when
he's very like stocky, but athletic looking. Catcher.
Yeah. Like a lot of times they're like, hey, does that kid play football? No, he just lifts.
Yeah. He'd be a sick running back.
Yeah. So so for recruiting, like when you're like, a lot of times it starts early, like alpha games and like, like college scouts watching games. With Alpha, he played outfield.
That's right. He didn't catch a lot.
Hardly caught at all.
But that probably showed his athleticism.
It didn't hurt.
This dude can play the outfield and he's a catcher.
Yeah.
Versus the the prototypical like thicker looking
right.
catcher.
But the downside to that is when you got 30 scouts sitting at a field watching.
Everybody's looking up the middle. Pitcher,
and,
catcher.
right. It's hard as an outfielder to stand out.
Oh, that's a great point.
As a catcher, though, when you're catching, you can stand out. You gun a couple guys, you block a ball, you look good back there framing. But when there were scouts around, he wasn't catching; he was playing outfield. So you got to do something at the plate. You got to like do something. So you guys had mentioned like, are college camps worth it? This, that, and
for
the
sure,
other.
for sure.
For a kid like Kyle, I fully believe that going to those camps was huge for him because
that's going to be the new thing.
Yeah, so we were in San Diego the summer after junior year, and we were playing at the best baseball park I've ever been to in my life, which was Point Loma.
Oh yeah, that's
unbelievable
awesome.
place to watch a baseball.
If you don't know Point Loma, it's a small private college that's
D2.
on the cliff of San Diego, right above, right above Point where the Marines and stuff are. A buddy of mine was living there, like right down the street, and left field literally falls off a cliff.
Yep.
And it goes down to the ocean.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Best place I've ever watched a baseball game.
Yeah, very cool.
And so Irvine happened, UC Irvine, top 25 program, very good Big West program, was there. And they invited, they saw him there, and they, I think they talked to the coaches. They said, hey, we're going to have a camp. Who should we talk to? So they invited him down. And, well, it just so happened there was a Cal camp through Alpha that same weekend. So I texted Farb and I said, hey, look, this is the situation. We want to go to Cal with Alpha, but Kyle's invited to Irvine. What do you recommend we do?
Yeah.
And he goes, go to Irvine.
Okay.
And so we went down to Irvine.
Because the invite is more important than the general.
I think that maybe Farb also knows a little bit because Cal also showed interest in Kyle later. And that Cal event ended up getting canceled because of their field. They had an issue with their field or something. So we go down to Irvine, and they are able, he goes down there as an outfielder and as a catcher. So they're able to do metrics, like they have him throw from right field to second, right.
Yeah,
field
if you're
to
going to
third.
go see Kyle as an outfielder, and he just happens to go get behind the dish,
and then do pop
you're
times.
Like, what the heck?
Well,
this guy's legit.
So so he throws from the outfield and
winner.
Absolutely nailed it. Goes behind the plate, pop time, amazing.
Right. When he throws to the outfield, it's like
60
dude,
times.
looks like he throws like a catcher. Like, that's because he's actually a catcher.
He's actually a catcher. But arm strength was there. And so, long story short, man, he goes down there and kills it in the outfield and the catcher, and then hits a bomb in the game. Goes like 3 for 4. Hits an absolute moonshot, and the coach goes after him. And this was like this. Mind you, no college coach would call our kids till August 1st. This was July 30th.
Oh, so this is right as they're getting ready to be juniors. Got it. Okay.
Right as we're getting ready to be talked to, and the coach goes. All the coaches were like talking to him, and the head coach walks up. I'm going to be calling you in 2 days.
That's cool. I think they could do that, right? Because at the camps,
they can talk to
that's when they can talk to you. That's kind of why you go to get a feel for that.
But the long story short was he went down there, absolutely destroyed the camp, and they were able to get metrics on him. But if they watched him play 6 games, with Alpha and he's in the outfield, they don't get to see what they need to see. He doesn't get to throw a ball in from the fence,
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I've ever. Did I tell you about the Mizzou story about Savannah?
Only the rain.
So at the time, they tell Savannah, who's never caught in a game, hey, you should catch to get some more love in college recruiting. You play a corner infield, and you hit the ball a mile. Cool.
If you can play corner infield, you can adapt to being a catcher.
Yeah, there's something about that.
Yeah.
But catcher is the premier spot. I mean, versus it's way more the other way. If you can play catcher, we can stick you at corner. And so we go out to Mizzou. And she's never caught. And like I was telling you, that camp was pretty. It was pretty.
You said it was an elite camp.
It was wild. There was 24 girls, 12 girls on each team. They'd go 5 batters an inning, and the 6th batter was an incoming freshman that was already at the field, already at the school, and she had to hit off of the recruit pitchers. So if you can imagine, as let's say a junior not even a junior, they would have been. So it's August going into her junior year, because for the boys, August 1st was when they could get contacted.
Yeah.
For the girls,
before junior year, yeah.
For the girls, it's September 1st. So
Why is it different?
It's just, this is stupid.
You guys talked about it on episode 1.
Why is it stupid? Why is it? It should all be, I mean, dude, it's baseball, softball. Yeah. So it's a couple weeks before September 1st that we're there, and she's hitting, and the coach says, hey, man, I want you to change your bat. I'm like, oh God, here we go again. Because she always swung a small bat. The Barry Bonds story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she gives her this huge bat. She hits the ball out of the stadium, right? Like over the fence, over the walkway into this other thing. And he's like, that's what I'm talking about. Then she gets up for a live at bats, smokes the ball off the wall. I mean, she killed it. Then they're like, hey, 12 on 12, real live games, real SEC umpires. No joke. Like, this is a legit camp. There's 12 girls on each team. So you got 7 fielders, and then you got 2 pitchers, and then you got like 2 catchers, and you got another player in there. They put her in a catcher. Now, she had no effing idea. I mean, she had caught in practice. She had been training.
Maybe when she was little.
She had been shown how to catch, but she hadn't actually caught in a real game. This was a real game with SEC type caliber softball players that wanted to get recruited.
Yeah.
She was out of her league, man. You know?
Yeah.
And shame on us, you know, because we're just doing what we're told.
And who told you that? The people at the camp or people?
No, in the coaching groups, like, hey, you know, this is how you get seen. This is how you get seen. Well, it's also how you get exposed, you know, because what ended up happening was they said, hey, you can hit here, but you can't catch here. You know, like you don't.
Did she say, hey, I'm really a first baseman?
So then, she said, hey, listen. And they're like, oh. And luckily, I had made friends with a guy from another group, and he was friends. And he said, hey, let me call the coach and find out. He goes, yeah, they don't know why she caught. And so it was just a lesson we learned, right?
Yeah,
so, yes, you should go and get metrics and go to these camps and do the things, but you can get exposed to, you know, because it is what it is, you know?
Yeah. Well, if you have a bad day, you don't show up
but then, so the other part of that story was we go to Coastal Carolina for her visit, and we're like, hey, you know, we had not been to a camp. We didn't know how Coastal Carolina called us at midnight, right? And hey, we love you. I said, Coach, what happened? She goes, well, we were at a tournament in June, and one of our coaches was there, and Savannah hit a ball farther than we had seen a ball get hit. We wrote her name down.
Mm-hmm.
Then we came to Colorado. Colorado, the ball flies.
Mm-hmm.
We saw her hit a couple home runs. She's like, then we were in LA, and we all happened to be at the same game. We're like, oh, that girl's here. And we all showed up, and she hit another home run. And we're like, this is our girl.
Yeah.
So it does happen that you can show. It depends on what you're trying to show, I guess is my point, right? If you hit the ball a mile and you can do it in a game, that's awesome. That probably carries more weight. But if you're more than that and you're doing, not saying that my daughter's not more than that, just like that was what they caught their attention. And it was cool to have them be very honest. Hey, you know, like because we were just like, man, here I am right now today saying camp. Go to the camp, go show interest in the school, go show that you like the school, see what the feedback is. If you're with the right coaching staff, they'll be able to reach out to the coach and say, what did you think?
Mm-hmm.
What was the feedback? But also, there are some still stories about coaches just seeing a player and going, damn, that looks good. You know, like, hey, that player did that. So
exactly. There's a lot that goes into it. There's like, you know, like playing, and this is why I thanked you, you know, earlier is you play for a program like Alpha and you show up to anything wearing an Alpha uniform that automatically like this kid can play. It
adds 2 inches to your height. You know what I'm saying? Like that stupid,
it's street cred.
It's street cred. That's a great way to put it.
Even if you walk in and you're on Alpha Power, they don't care because you know what? Alpha Power is a damn good baseball team.
You're exactly
a good player, and
exactly.
And I think that's a credit to Farb and his program.
Yeah, and he's done a good job keeping what's the quality. Like, you know, and he's talked about that before. I think he said, you know, he ran like a fuego, or he ran like a third.
It was
like
the force.
Something. And he's like, I'm not doing that.
You know, Ritter, our team, who pitched against Joey that day, was on that force team.
Now, but then he's a good example of like, damn, that dude's good.
He is good. He's now up.
But that's the thing, right? It's like, I think Kyle's a good example of like, yeah, he came late because like we talked about, hey, you should come to this, okay. And then he just stayed on the team. He could have easily played, but you know.
But the thing is, if Farb
not blowing smoke, Farb is pretty good at what he does.
He's good at what he does.
He knows what he's like. Like I get it. Like, oh, dude, okay, don't. My kid's not even playing for it. I don't need to kiss up to him. I think the guy actually does do.
He does a pretty dang good
He
job.
knows what he's doing. And he sees it, and you may not always agree with it because you're thinking like, "Are you sure?" But he has done it. With me, he's done it right.
I think he does a very good job. And even though like where Kyle ended up going to UC Davis.
Mm-hmm.
UC Davis found him through our high school coaches, who are also amazing guys and very connected and do a good job.
Which is cool.
But I also think that because he played for Alpha, and they have a relationship with Farb. There's other kids that have gone from Davis for Alpha to Davis, and I think it all played a part and a role in him ending up where he ended up.
For sure.
But the funny thing is, and you guys mentioned this on your episode 1, and the one thing when you're talking about recruiting, and I know I talked to this.
Yeah.
Go where you're wanted, and and so going back to the Irvine camp and like Cal and this, that, and the other. A lot of those schools, they were very close, and if he had just showed some patience and waited, those offers would have come. But like Davis was like, they wanted him, and they made it known that they wanted him, and so did Stony Brook, who came out of nowhere from Long Island, New York.
Yeah, that's right. You guys went out there.
We went back on a visit, and anyway, long story short, go where you're wanted and go where you're appreciated, and I think that like Kyle felt that love, and that like they're like, hey, dude, you have a chance to play right away. We're not blowing smoke.
Yeah.
You have a legit chance to play right away. We're an up-and-coming program. We went from, inheriting a mess to 7 wins to 18 wins to 30 wins to who knows what.
Yeah. Is it Tommy Nichols?
Who played for Augie Garrido and coached at Stanford. And
he was great. I met him when the 8th grade season was rolling around and Joey was doing the Stanford idea, and he was cool, man. And he seems like a good dude. He is a good dude. The whole coaching staff's great. They were watching Ritter pitch at Yuba City. And hold on. Let's talk about this part too of this, right? Yeah. If Kyle doesn't play baseball and Kyle's just really good at, I don't know, English papers ish. Mm-hmm. Is Kyle getting into UC Davis? So this is a funny story. So UC Davis is pretty freaking hard to get into. So this is twofold. So when Stony Brook made their offer to Kyle, and now Stony Brook, I had to look them up, but 2012 they upset LSU in a 3-game series before Omaha to go to Omaha in 2012. So D1 team that D1 plays. 2012 they went to Omaha. They upset LSU to get there. They beat them 2 out of 3. Went to Omaha. Went to the College World Series. Coach has been there for 34 years. Cool. Went back on a visit, loved it, and it was too far. But anyway, they offered half of his offer was academic and half of his offer was athletic money. So that's right, because they said, he gets good grades. Yes, so they could do that. But when Davis we're like, Davis must not be that serious about you because they haven't asked for your transcripts yet. That's right. I remember this story. This is good. They offered Kyle, and we're like, well, they are serious about you. But like when we talk to Coach later after he's committed, and I've gotten to know these guys, they're awesome guys, and I love these guys. He goes, but there's no way, to get an academic scholarship at Davis, we're turning away 4 3s. Yeah, he said, you got to be over a 4.0, dude. Kyle's got a 3.85. But here's the funny part. He applied, and Coach goes, hey, when you don't get in, let us know, and then we'll do our magic, and we'll get you in. It'll work. We got an email. Congratulations, Kyle. You've been accepted to University of California, Davis. So you never even had to do that. That's cool. But when I saw the pitching coach at our Yuba City game to watch a Ritter pitch. Nice. I walked up. I said, "Hey, man." I go, "How's it going?" We chatted for a while. I go, hey, "I guess got to ask," and I will never tell Kyle. Yeah. But did you guys click a magic button to get him through? And he goes, "No, I don't think so." That's awesome, dude. That's cool for Kyle. I go, he got in on his own? Yeah. I go, how the hell did that happen, man? Oh my God. So we think he got in on his own. But that's huge. Yeah. That's huge. I mean, and I'm sure people listening like, oh, come on, 3A, my kid gets a 4.7. It's my brother was a 4.2 and didn't get in there. Like it happens, man. That place that's a good school. So we just went for Ava Reichow. She's on the gymnastics team, and Sharon and Angel used to work together, and we're all really good friends. And Ava's she's around Joey's age, but she's a grade older. And so she's there on gymnastics. And we were talking about this recruiting thing. And man, every parent is going through the same thing, whether it be volleyball, gymnastics, baseball, softball, soccer. Who else was I talking to recently? It's just you're paying. I mean, even parents are like, now it's become a thing to hire like a liaison just to get into school.
Yeah.
So like,
Not the USC way with all that whole celebrity mess.
Yeah,
right?
that's a different one. But by the way, Angel getting into USC and not going there because her and I were dating, still the most jaw-dropping story, I think, of recent note, with me. So yeah, these people, I don't know, but like to navigate just getting your kid accepted to school, it's kind of wild.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of wild. It's like the days of, hey, get good grades, go do some community service, be on the student body or play lacrosse or field hockey, or I don't know, just, do something different.
Theater,
do theater, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know if I don't know if that's gone. Like,
I don't think so, because just like when I was coaching Kyle's 13U team at Smash and went up to 14U, like the head coach was a young guy, fresh out of college, like 22, but just an awesome guy. And he kept telling these boys, grades matter.
okay.
Grades matter. You got to do like all these things. You got it. And I don't think they're seventh graders, like eighth graders. They're not listening. They hear it, but they're not, they don't believe it yet. And like do you have Avid at Rockland? Like it's a program.
I'm sure
Anyway, it's like one of those classes that you really just have to show up, show an effort.
Dude, I don't know what classes the kids take. Sorry.
And you just, basically it's like a preparation for life class. It's not like you're learning material. You have to show up and try. And
you do have to try.
Yeah, but you have to try. And so anyway, long story short, Kyle's freshman year, he gets a B in Avid. Like, how the hell do you get a B in Avid, dude?
Yeah, dude.
Come on. So when we went to Irvine, what was one of the first things to coach? Because Irvine's UC, right? Like you have
Anteaters.
Yep. You have to if you're a good baseball player, you have to be over 3.0 to get in there. You can't show up at a 2.5 and get into UC.
Okay.
Right. So the coach goes, what are your grades? And like it clicked with him. He's like, shit, this really matters.
Wait, yeah.
Oh, wait, they weren't joking?
They were bullshitting me, yeah.
They weren't bullshitting?
Yeah, that's funny.
And I think that I think kids need and what stinks for these kids is the contact with the coaches now is going to be later.
Yeah.
And these kids aren't prepared for the life decisions they're about to make at an early age. So having, if that UC Irvine coach had said that to him at the beginning of his freshman year, I guarantee the kid wouldn't have got to be an Avid.
Yeah. Right. You're like, damn, that's too bad that they can't talk to him sooner. Because then,
but there's some good things to it too.
No,
like kids committing too early and weird parts about that stuff. But.
Agreed. I think hearing it from the coach, hey, you need to take this many APs, you need to take this street cred thing, right? Like versus their parents telling them you need to take, and they're like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about,
Well, not to touch base on what I did for a living, but I would sit there in front of a felon who has a drug problem.
Yeah,
and I'd say, hey man. This ain't good for you. This ain't working for you. Like, hey, you've hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't mean shit coming from me.
No.
But if we have someone in our office who's a counselor who's been in their shoes, who are they listening to?
Rehabbed and gone through it and lived it.
Not only, they're not just saying the words, not some college grad telling them what the textbook says.
Yeah.
There's street cred there. Like to your point.
Yeah.
The coaches are the ones that they're like, hey, this guy's telling me I need to get good grades. Like, I need to get good grades.
Well, it's also like, hey, this guy's going to be my boss. Cut to the thing of it. Like, if your coach tells you to do something, you better do it. Otherwise, it's not going to be a coach.
Right.
So you want to play here, then, you better do it. So now, so you get down to the point between Stony Brook and Davis is on the table at that point. Cause I felt like when you went to Stony Brook, they kind of gave you a little bit of a timeline, hey, the clock starts now.
Yeah. So his first offer was from Stony Brook.
Okay.
And they gave him 2 weeks. And I'm like, hey, my kid's going to go to Long Island and to a school we barely even know anything about. But I researched and there's great school, but I knew almost nothing about it. And like, how can you ask a kid, to make a decision in 2 weeks to a place he's never been, hasn't met any of the coaches other than a phone conversation? That's a big ask.
Yeah.
So we said, hey, I told Kyle, I go, hey, well, first off, and we haven't even touched base on this yet. Like, he's an outfielder for Alpha. He's a catcher for Roseville. Like, what do they want you as?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, are you asking these questions when you're talking to these guys, Kyle? Like, what do they want you to ask? Because I know you really want to be a catcher, but you're okay playing outfield as long as you're in the lineup and you can hit.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway, Stony Brook made the first offer, and then Davis came in like a week later, and his reaction was, well, I had raised him to be a diehard Sac State Hornet fan because that's where I went, and Davis and Sac State are bitter rivals. So his first reaction was, hell no, I'm not going to Davis. So anyway, we go out to Stony Brook, and they said, okay, all right, because you've been marinating on this for about 3 weeks for us to put the trip together. And
so 3 weeks between when they call you and you actually get out to Long Island.
Yeah, and
go
so
for the
they put the 2 weeks on hold, and then when we left, they said, okay, let us know you have a week. And
hold on, so they put the 2 weeks on you before you even went.
Before we even went. And
hey,
we're
here's
like,
an
"That's
offer,
not fair."
man. Here's an offer. See, that part is always crazy because it's like, like, not to minimize it, but like, I'm selling a car on Facebook, and you're like, hey, I'm asking $8,000. Like, I'll give you $6,000, and you're like, dude, you haven't even seen the car yet. If I say yes to $6,000, and then you get here and you're like, well, I didn't know the windshield had a crack in it, so now I want to. And it's like, dude, come see it first before you give me the offer.
So we knew a little bit about the coach. Like, so the assistant coach who's doing the recruiting had come from Delta, was a Granite Bay kid, played at Tulane. Good guy.
Okay,
really
so
likes
like a local connection.
And he knew Kyle's freshman year varsity coach. And so he had talked to him, and the coach called Kyle, hey, Stony Brook's interested in you, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, there was a local connection.
But it doesn't mean that Kyle knows Long Island.
Yeah.
It just means Long Island knows Kyle.
We've been to New York City. We went there before we went to Cooperstown. We spent a week there. We didn't go to Long Island.
Yeah, for sure. I've never been to Long Island.
Yeah,
right.
Anyway, awesome place.
I'm sure it's sick.
I loved it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Davis was also in the mix at that point, and they made their offer shortly after. But what the interesting thing was, when we were on the plane getting ready to take off for Stony Brook, Cal called.
Oh, really?
And Cal was in the boat. Like, they'd been talking to the Susaks.
Okay.
Susaks have relationships with almost everybody.
Yeah.
And they know the head coach there. And John had gotten on the phone, was, talking about Kyle.
Mike knew, right?
Yep.
Good dude.
Excuse me. And
Cal was the first one that offered Joey, by the way.
Yeah.
They're good people. I like them.
And so anyway, they were like, we need to see you one more time. We know who you are. We've watched you. And they invited Kyle to a camp, but I'm like, I can't, coach. I'm going to Stony Brook right now. And so anyway, like it was, I think they were a couple weeks away from making an offer. They just wanted to see him one more time.
And that's so frustrating, right? Because you're thinking, holy crap, I'm flying to Long Island for this school that I don't really know. And the school I do know, big time D1 Power 5 is calling me to come. And you almost want to like, okay, well, never mind about this trip, dude. Let's go to Cal because
we
they
were
just
on
called.
the plane.
Yeah, I know. But if you had...
He had been to a Cal... So Cal had invited him to the Auburn game. And he got to go on the field and pregame and do all that. So they didn't get a real big tour of the place, but they went to the football game. So, I mean, he had a little interaction with them.
Yeah.
But they hadn't seen him play in a while. So the funny thing is that, Kyle really wanted to go to Irvine after we'd been there. And he's like, a good program, good place.
And Irvine's beautiful. I mean, dude.
It's a great spot, man.
It's Irvine.
Yeah. I was definitely okay with that. And anyway, when we got back from Stony Brook, Irvine had said, hey, look, I don't know when we're going to get to... Irvine had said, we don't know when we're going to get to see you again. It's probably not going to be until Alpha starts back up. And at this point, dude, we're sitting here in, I don't know, October. And Alpha doesn't start up till May or June.
Yeah, and so you're saying, hey, man, August 1st has already come.
Yeah.
When I could get the offer.
Yeah.
Now we're in October.
And they said, hey, we want you to come down a couple times. Maybe come to a fall ball game, this, that, and the other.
Man,
that stuff never happened.
That's the bird in the hand thing,
Yeah. And so, he knew they liked him. If he had waited and been more patient, waited till June for them to see him again.
Maybe.
He probably would have got an offer.
Yeah.
But he wasn't sure. And then,
I think hindsight being 2020, I'll say it because you're the dad. You can't say this. Hindsight being 2020, I think Kyle could easily be at Cal, which he could then easily be at Irvine, which makes Davis happy they got him, and he's happy that he went somewhere where they're happy.
And they want him.
And they want him. So like,
Yeah.
I'll say that for you.
Oh, no
I
doubt.
think
I was going to get there.
100%. But you know,
But-
like sometimes
but-
we as dads,
yeah.
like, you don't want to say like, oh, my kid's good enough, because you feel like, you know.
I don't care. Like since he committed to Davis, people have been saying that Kyle's going to outplay his commitment. Kyle's going to outplay his commitment. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah,
I go,
dude.
I'm a Sac State guy. I hated Davis forever, but
Yeah.
I love that coaching staff. It's an amazing ballpark.
By the way, prove them right.
Yeah,
Go and bat 800
Mhm.
at Davis and break every Davis record there is.
exactly.
And guess what?
And stay there.
If you're that good and you graduate from Davis with all the records,
yeah,
you'll get drafted.
Yeah,
'Cause
but-
it'll happen. You
Yeah.
know, like you don't have to go to
he's not
whatever.
shopping. He's not shopping to go move
No,
on. to
God,
the
no.
next-
He
he wants to be there. So really quickly, this will take another minute, but like
That's-
it was funny because when we got back from Stony Brook, Kyle was under the gun. Like he's like, I got a week, and I know Davis is looming, and he
that's
really
a tough spot to be in.
and he
dude.
really
16
wanted.
years old.
Well, he was 17
17?
at this
Okay.
point. Yeah, so he was, but he at that point he still wanted to go to Irvine,
Mm.
and so he calls the Irvine coach and he says, "Hey, coach, this is what's going on. Like, hey, what's going on with you guys? Like this and I'm not going to name coach's name.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
going to do that. But he goes, don't let so and so, and he named him by name. Don't let so and so pressure you into making a decision. If they want you, they're going to want you. And that was the Irvine coach who said that
Yeah.
too. And
But then it's also,
but the funny thing was, it just shows what a small world it is.
yeah.
He knew who specifically was talking to Kyle.
Yeah. Because I'm sure certain guys have certain recruiting ideas, tools, ways.
Right.
Nuances.
I just thought it was, and this is nothing negative on any of them. I'm not trying to say that,
Right.
but I just think it was kind of cool that he's the coach who still wants to see him one more time. I was like, Kyle, don't let anybody rush you through this process. We're not rushing. Don't you rush.
We've talked about this before on your
I thought that was
podcast.
pretty cool, though.
I think that is cool because we've had be in the room. Be in the room with your kid. If you think that a full-grown adult who's paid to win games and paid to bring in the best talent in the country
And their jobs depend on
and
it.
their job and they're putting food on the table to feed their family based on the talent that they bring in. If you think that that person isn't going to try to sell your 16, 17-year-old child on what, and I'm not saying they do it maliciously or anything like that, but like you should be in the room because you as an adult can hear what they say, how they say it, and you as an adult can then digest that. The kids hear what they want to hear.
Yep.
This coach said they love me.
And they don't ask all the right questions, hence the, do you want me at catcher or an outfielder?
Why would they?
Yeah.
They don't know that.
Yeah.
They just assume.
Mhm.
And the only reason why we know to ask those questions is because we've been burned.
Or we have life experience.
We think, I thought you said you loved me. No, I just said, let's go on a second date.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that's what that meant, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
But like it's those mid majors because Joey is God. It's so proud of what he's done and what he's
right on.
He's got SEC schools talking to him, and excuse me, those mid majors they don't have the time to wait on somebody that they like, and they need to lock in somebody who they may think might be a little higher level than
it is wild. It is wild how that works because
But they feel like they have to lock those guys in because if that guy says no, they don't want to be strung along for a year.
well, I mean,
And then be told no. They have to move on to the next kid.
the exact thing happened, right? So, Todd Butler was at Oklahoma.
Okay.
The guy was great. He's the recruiting coordinator. And he said it best. He's been coaching for 20 something years or whatever. He said, Joey, we want you now, and we'll wait for you. He said, I've always waited for whatever he said, the best, the better players, the good players, whatever the terminology was. Yeah, there'll always be a spot for you here. You know what I mean? So there is no timeline. And we're like, oh man, that's awesome. That's awesome. And then for Sav, when she went to Coastal, they were like, hey, there's no timeline, but
We kind of need to know.
here's your offer.
Yeah.
Which it was killer. And it was like, if you don't, for them, they're like, well, if you don't take this offer, then you just don't want to come here.
Right.
Because there's nothing to negotiate. You know what I mean? Like, here's everything. But they were like, hey, this offer's good until the next recruitment trip comes in. It's not going to be for like maybe 5 weeks. I think there's another football game. It kind of rotates around the football game. So if you don't know, typically the recruiting schedule will be they'll bring you in for a football game because it's a big event and they'll have fun. But yeah, they were kind of like, hey, no pressure, but we only have so much money.
Mhm.
We're willing to offer you X. And that's good until the next group comes here, because if the next group comes here and we get a girl, guy, whatever, that says, yeah, absolutely, we want to be here. Well, we want someone that wants to be here,
Mhm.
you know? And I never forget, I mean, even at Arkansas, you know, they had told Joey, like, hey, and it was just like a hypothetical, but he was like, hey, when you can't throw a strike and your girlfriend leaves you, will you still want to be here? You know, like just kind of painted it in this really dark picture of like, we want you to be here because you want to be here.
Mhm.
You want everything that we provide for you. We don't like, who cares if the football game is fun? And who cares if the stands
It's
are
gonna be fun wherever you go.
dude, it's going to be fun wherever you go.
Yeah.
Because you're going to make it fun,
Yeah.
you know? But it was just such a great, those were some great lessons, you know, which the whole podcast is based on. Like,
Mhm.
it's not to brag and it's not to put down anybody. It's just like, just sharing information. You know, It's
Yeah.
just a story, right?
Yeah.
And it's like,
Well, every journey's different.
everybody's journey is different,
Yeah.
right? And so it's like, I think Sav and Kyle have a lot in common in the sense of like, you know, there was this like, am I, you know, like, should I hold out for this other thing or should,
Yeah.
you know, and then once you make the decision, you realize, oh man, this was the right decision.
Yeah. So like, and when he first did, I was just happy the process was over. There was a relief.
Yeah, there is a little bit of that.
But then there was also, I knew the things were going to come at me. Like, couldn't he waited for, like, I don't want to use the word better because I love Davis and I want him to be there. And that's where I think he's supposed to be. But when this whole process started, I would never have thought he'd end up there.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah,
known
yeah.
for being a baseball school.
Right.
Excuse me. It's a football school.
Yeah.
And you know, they've only been Division I maybe for the last 10 to 15
By the way,
years.
I think this is, I mean, and I talk to everybody because I'm a big
Yeah.
blabbermouth, but like, I think what we're talking about here is 90% of recruiting.
Yeah.
I think 90% of the parents have this vision of where their kid's going to go or whatever. And I'm not going to name like 90% of the parents like, yeah, you know, we were going here, but we really felt like we were this.
Yeah.
And then it's like that, and you got this note here, right? Like, hey, go where you're wanted and you'll want to be,
Yep.
you know, you'll
Go
want to
where
go
you're
where you
wanted,
want
right
it.
there,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's like, dude, you can't, until you make the decision and you say, hey, yeah, it's hard to understand because we use the terms Power 5, Power 4, whatever, you know,
Well, that's changed in our kids' recruiting. Like
amongst
other
Let's
things.
just call it D1, D2, D3, right?
Yeah.
Because I think it's simpler that way. But if you think you're D1, but the D2 school wants you, trust me, you're going to have a blast at D2. And, oh, by the way, with the way that college landscapes and recruiting is, if you're so good that you'll
find
good,
your way.
that D2, like the D2 school isn't, like you're just too good, guess what? You'll go to a D1 school.
Right. And you know, so we had a kid that joined the power team this last summer, and I saw he was committed to a D2 school early, way early, before a lot of the kids that committed to D1 schools. And he's a Valley Christian kid. Good pitcher, man.
Yeah,
Good. He's good dad, like good all around, like player, good kid. So I looked at the school and I was like, oh, it's religious school, Valley Christian.
That's cool. Yeah.
So I asked the dad, like we were sitting around the pool one day in Dallas.
Yeah.
So can I just ask you why this school?
Yeah.
And he's like, and I go, how was it because of the, you know, was it a legacy thing? Was it
Yeah,
this?
for sure.
Because that kid can pitch. And I was like, I kind of was like implying like he's
better than where he recruited. I mean, we're just saying what we're saying.
Yeah. He's technically could play at a higher level than where he's going.
Yeah.
And he goes, no, it had nothing to do with any of that. He was just, they wanted him.
Yeah.
And he liked it there. And he's like, he was going to be happy there. Awesome. Because that's how I feel about where we ended up. You know, it's like, I can drive there in 45 minutes. I won't miss a home game. They play up and down the West Coast.
That's insane.
I will drive or fly to every single game he plays. Yeah. I'm retired. I can do that.
Yeah. And that, like,
I couldn't do that at Stony Brook.
No, I can't do it at Arkansas. I can't do it at South Carolina. I mean,
unless you guys pick up and move, but I don't know your situation, you know?
No, Sav thought, I mean, she really, really wanted this high academic or snow. I mean, snow. She wanted to be in the snow at one point. And
for softball?
dude, she really liked the schools in the snow. And I was like, and thank God we went.
Because you guys went to Minnesota.
Yeah, well, it has snow there. So
Yeah, lots.
And she just the like, once you can talk to the coaches, you really get to understand, how they interact with you when you're talking to them.
Yeah.
Do they fit your vibe? Because like for the girls, it's a little bit different because it's not like you're going to go pro in softball. I know there's pro, but like
you're not going to make a livelihood.
You're going to go 4 years. So you better really like the people.
Yep.
Like something that was super cool about both schools that my kids picked. I mean, and I don't know if this happens a lot. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But like the head coach has been there for 15, some of them have been there for 30, but 15 plus years.
That was Stony Brook, 34 years.
Then the assistant coaches played there.
Yep.
And then graduated.
Yep.
And then came back to coach with their old head coach. That's pretty cool.
It's family environment.
It tells you that, hey, guess what? Like now at Arkansas, right? You're going to go like,
that feels more business-like, right?
You better be a fucking dude.
Yeah.
Otherwise, guess what? You're going to get chewed up and spit out. And that's the nature of the beast. Cause you're trying, top 5 in the country? You're trying to be. Now, with all that being said, the head coach's wife came over. Hey, we normally do dinner at our house. So it was very family oriented. Yeah. He's been there forever. He played there.
Awesome.
The pitching coach didn't. He went to Mizzou and all that. But like the other guys, the coordinators and all that, they all played for him. Mm-hmm. I'm like, dude, that's pretty cool. That's awesome. I don't have that. I don't have that brotherhood or vibe or family, and for Sav is the same way. Like all the coaches played at, they might be in the Coastal Carolina Hall of Fame or some of them.
But that makes you feel better as a parent sending your kid there, knowing that these people didn't hate it. They came back and they want to be a part of it.
They liked that coach so much. Now, granted, they got a job, and there's like
those jobs don't pay a lot.
No, yeah, you feel a vibe where you're like, hey, and yeah, it's not all warm and fuzzy, right? I mean, I'm sure there's parents listening, like, oh, well, this coach told my kid that, and then we got screwed, and it happens. I mean. Some of the schools we've mentioned today in this thing, like the schools have like turned their back on kids or, it's a business, man. Well,
see, one thing that I can say for sure though, is that everybody we came into contact with, I feel was a positive experience for my kid, not a negative. You know what I mean? Like even the Irvine coach going, hey, Kyle, don't let them rush you. But I also understand
good life advice though, right?
Yeah.
Hey man, make your decision based on what you want to do.
Yeah. And I also appreciate the fact that some of these schools feel like, hey, we need to lock in these guys now because we have a job to do too. And we can't afford to wait. Yeah. We're not in the SEC. We're not so we see a good ball player who we want. We have to shoot our shot. We don't get him. We got to move on to the next one. Right? Because that level of player is going to continue maybe to go down as they possibly.
So that doesn't change.
No, it probably happens at the Power 5 and Power 4 level too. But
I'm going to be very vague here because in the major leagues, they'll come and say, hey, listen, would you take this? Because we're fearful that when you go here, and then 3 years, you might cost us 5 times as much, 3 times as much, 2 times as much. So we think you're going to get there, but we'll give you this now. You know what I mean? So life doesn't change. Everybody wants, $1 for 50 cents, right?
100%.
And they see it and they go, shit, if I shine that quarter really shiny, it might be worth 50, and like I see it in there.
Right.
So the real trick is like you understanding that, hey, us as parents, we love our children and we're like, we just want them to be in an environment where, these people aren't going to back to the, hey, as a dad, we want our kid to be the best, better than me. We're not going to find a dad for them, but there is a sense of pride in these coaches. I'm sure there's a sense of like, hey man, I was on this guy early. I remember Eric was one of the guys from Cal that did give Joey his first offer. He's now with the Red Sox. And he mentioned that. He said, hey, dude, I was on you first, man.
Did you ever watch The Voice?
No.
Well, anyway, I don't watch The Voice either, but I do watch the auditions. And like,
like
when they turn around,
Gotcha. It's like
I was the first to turn around. I heard it first.
Yeah, because it's like,
Same thing,
there's
right?
probably some pride in the fact of like, I knew what I knew, like, dude, I knew you were going to be good.
I knew I wanted you to play for me a long time before these guys did.
Yeah, like, and so it's cool, man. I was like, it makes you feel good because you're like, cool, thanks for acknowledging that, and me good, Joey good, whatever. But like, it is cool, right? It's like, hey.
I think with the recruiting thing though, is like there's a trickle down.
Yeah.
Have you noticed this?
Yeah.
So I think like those schools that were at the ninth grade tournaments, like you saw the Pac-12, you saw like the Big 12, like those schools were at those things early. I didn't see the Stony Brooks. I didn't see the UC Davis so those schools back when they could talk to the kids through various means, right?
Yeah.
So so I've noticed like with a lot of the kids who aren't getting recruited by D1 schools, like, so they're coming to the game. The D2s have to wait. They have to wait till the dust settles. Like, and sort of like, so the power.
Because they're not dumb. They know that if they go up to the kid, he's thinking, I'm going to USC, dude. I'm not going to, I
still have my senior year to impress people.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point.
It's a trickle down. So that starts at the Power 4. Then it moves to the mid-major. Then it moves to D2. And then you introduce the whole transfer portal.
Oh, dude.
And all this other stuff. It changes everything.
It brings up a great, great story. Savannah is in 8th grade. She's getting ready to come into high school. Oh boy, what happened to our team? I think our team imploded. She's playing for Andy Smith, phenomenal guy. He runs a local, he runs the above average travel ball team in local team. So we thought, hey, it'll be good. You'll play with some of the girls you're going to play with in high school. It's a good fall ball team. You're going to play hoops. We can't be travel. It was a great. He was phenomenal, and Phil Buffington was coaching that team. And I remember Sav's in a game, and technically she's an 8th grader, I guess. I don't know if we had started high school yet. She's smashing, dude.
I saw some of the Facebook videos.
Yeah, man. and the Sac, I think it was Sac City coach comes over. He's like, hey, who's that? And they're like, who? Oh no, she's 8th grade. He goes, oh, fuck, she's never getting to me. And it was just like a funny, because I was like, because he was there because she was playing with seniors in high school, or incoming whatever, high school age kids, and he's like, cool, like we're at this B tournament, right, which is what it was. I mean, it wasn't anything bad. It's just a local tournament. Yeah, and she was crushing. He's like, hey, who's she? And like, no, dude, she's 8th grade. He's like, damn, she never get. And it was just funny because I happened to be sitting there, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. You're like, all right, right on. Well, I'll take that as a compliment.
It's 100% a compliment.
Yeah,
and that takes
sure.
me back to when we were at Point Loma. So that's a D2 school and a very successful D2 school.
It's great. Yeah, it's a great baseball program.
Yes. And but their coaches at D2 level could talk to the kids at that time. This was like July of their.
That's right. Speaking of weird rules, like
the D2 school.
The D2 school who can't really get a kid early, get to talk to a kid early. Yeah. I guess to level the playing field. I don't know.
But so it was kind of like the head coach was there for the whole tournament, and he was helping run everything, and he was a cool guy. And one of our players happened to go to his former high school,
Okay.
But anyway, and he had a good game, and but there were certain kids that you knew like that he just knew he wasn't talking to. He's like, that kid's a good ball player. But he didn't waste it. He didn't spend any time because that kid's like the coach just told him like that kid's gonna go D1. This kid's gonna go D1.
I mean, that's probably harder to pass on kids you think are too good for your school.
Well,
because as a competitor, as a coach, you got to think you're like, yeah, I want to talk to Aaron Judge. Like,
right. I don't mean it as a negative thing.
No. I'm saying it as good on you, dude, that you can say,
well, I don't know that was his mentality. That's just kind of the way I was well, why isn't he talking to these 3 or 4 kids? They're, I don't want to say better, but probably a better prospect.
The best dudes on our team or whatever, right? And you're like, man.
But one thing they had to sell was that's the best place I've ever watched a baseball game. And I'd been to Petco the day before, and I've been to Petco many times.
It's a pretty cool park, dude.
It's just, you can't beat the view, man.
You're literally on the beach, but you also have
you look like you're playing baseball in an infinity pool.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it. An infinity pool. It's like left field just falls off the cliff.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a fence there. The left fielder's not going to run and dive.
Actually the water is like 300 feet.
It's funny. It
beyond.
looks like you can hit it into the ocean, but you cannot hit it into the ocean.
No way in hell. It's not
Yeah.
that close, but it looks like it's
And
right
the
there.
wind blows in pretty hard. I think
the whole time.
the whole thought process is like you got to be a lefty hitting it to right.
That's who we talked to. Was our left.
Yeah. He's like,
All the
hey,
righties.
Yeah. Wilson.
And
is
the
not
guys he
coming
didn't
back
talk to are all since committed to D1 schools.
Yeah.
Like, even the kid he talked to committed to a D1 school.
Yeah.
But he was probably looking at him like, okay, maybe this is, like whatever. He's a left-handed hitter. Like he's going to be successful in this play.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was just weird because that was the only guy that could talk to us. And he didn't
yeah.
talk to half the kids, like, or more. Like, it was just interesting.
Well, plus it's like there's so much, like, we get so caught up. I mean, recruiting's such a great topic, but we get so caught up in, like you said, you want it to be over because there's so many different things. I was talking to another big lefty's dad today after the game.
I know who that is.
And we were talking about how, the recruiting is so, and then you think, okay, cool. Like I can calm down. But then you're like, well, no, because then there's this next level of, I think that's the hard part as a parent is if I'm 10U, right? I'm like, oh, this tournament's such a big deal. It's like, dude, listen,
It's not.
now you got 11U, then 12U, right? And then you got JV or freshman or whatever. Then you got varsity. And then you're like, oh my God, senior year.
Yeah.
And then college. Like, me and Angel were joking around about that. Like, what are we going to do when the kids are playing in college? Like, am I going to stop fidgeting and walking around and having chest palpitations? Like, is that going to go away? Because I don't think so.
Yeah.
Just because he's on a field that is a little bit further away from the stands, like it's still my guy. You know what I mean? Or my
Still
girl.
gonna feel the same
It's
way.
still my baby, right? Like I'm like, dude, hey man, like, and then fast forward, right? Like if you make it to the big stage, like I talked about this in one of the blogs, when Joey pitched at the Potters field and they didn't realize the Potters were playing alpha and these guys were all seniors in high school. And
I think Kyle was on that field with your son.
I believe he was.
And he threw a guy out at home.
Yes, he did. And
from the outfield.
yes, he did. Yeah, the catcher in the outfield. But I don't even remember that the dude was like talking shit. It was like this like full grown adult with a little kid, and he was like, "Oh, this pitcher sucks, whatever, like ball, right?" And I'm just like, dude. And it was my kid, and I'm like, this is weird because it's one thing when the high school parents and we've had a couple of schools where the parents are kind of a little wild, and you're like. Hey, dude, like, I don't advocate for violence at all. But, like, you are a parent talking to a child.
Yep.
And you are responsible for your words about my child. Like, dude, like, hey, man, like, that's not cool, But at this Potters thing, I'm like, this guy's not. And so I was just like, I remember, because, that's the cop in me. We're like, hey, man, you're screaming at a 17-year-old right now. And he's like, huh? And I'm like, you look like a nice guy. You're a dad. I'm a dad. Your kid's 5, and you're trying to show, like, boo or whatever. But, like, that's my 5-year-old out there that's not 5 anymore, He's like, oh, dude. And he was super cool. He's like, oh, I didn't realize these guys are high school kids. Yeah. And I'm like, I'll just give you perspective. Like, my son's trying too. You know what I mean?
The Lincoln Potters did not advertise that they were getting their asses handed to them at one point by high school kids.
They did not. But it's like, dude, to be a parent, well, and you have another son that does, that's theater, right? Yeah. Now in theater, do people like, is that all like people don't boo and the whole tomatoes?
No,
like,
God, no.
Because I mean, I'm just thinking, right? Like
that's a whole different crowd, by the way.
I'm sure it is.
I
got to get out there. I got to get out there. Me and Chad got. I know Chad's
been.
Chad's great. So like, when somebody publicly ostracizes your child, it's freaking hard to deal with.
Now, when he gets to the bigs and he's 23 and you got the heckler, like, hey, dude, have at it. He's a grown ass man.
He's a millionaire.
Yeah. Hey, what? Guess what? He ain't gonna lose any sleep over what the schmuck in the stand says.
And it's different, right? Like, because right now he ain't a millionaire, and I'm the one footing his bill. And I don't like that he gave up a hit either. Well, fucking Jack, you know. But
so later that summer, last summer, we put it. So our high school coaches put a team together.
Oh, the Peloteros. Yeah.
And we played in that Potters end of the season tournament.
Okay.
And we had the kid that goes to Bradshaw Christian pitch for us. He's going to Stanford.
Yeah, there's
David
a good
Weiser,
Yep,
right?
Weiser.
And we played the Potters and we beat them 10-0. And then the next day we go and play a team, a good team. They were all JC kids, but they were probably sophomores, just finished their sophomore year in college, and they were all going off to 4-year schools. On that team, Ethan Gustis, who's our super sophomore, he's on 27 prime.
Okay.
Kid's going to be a power 4 pitcher.
Yeah.
6'5", he throws in like 90 plus already.
Nice.
So he's out there as just coming off his freshman year of high school pitching against these guys. And a kid takes him yard and pimps it. Like he just hit a home run off of Vita Blue.
Yeah, you're like, hey, bro, that guy's 15, dude.
I go, that kid's 15, bro. I wouldn't be bragging.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
The fact that kid's on the same field as you, that's impressive. And that should earn your respect. But I don't know that those kids even knew.
So
the kid's 6'5".
Okay. So Joey comes back from surgery. He's playing for the Royal Scout team.
Right.
They're playing at Sac City, and this kid hits a home run off him. It was the first time he came back. Fastballs, whatever. Dude hits a home run. He trots on the bases. He's happy, whatever. He comes over, and I happen to be on Sac City's side. I was taking pictures, and the kid comes over and he's talking to, I think it was like the hitting guy. He goes, "Oh man, I really saw that well." And the hitting guy goes, "Hey man, just so you know, that's the pitcher's dad." And I'm like, "Oh hey, dude, nice hit, man." He's like, "Oh dude, I felt so good. I had surgery, this and that. I went to IMG." I'm like, "Oh, he's thinking about going to IMG, right?" And he says, "Oh, well, what?" And he goes, "Wait, how old is that guy?" I go, "Oh, he's 16, or whatever." And he goes, "Oh fuck." And I go, "Well, how old are you?" He goes, "I'm 22." And I go, "Oh, okay." He goes, "Yeah, dude, I COVID, I came back." And the guy was so nice.
Yeah.
But he was an adult.
Yeah.
And he understood
he got
that his home run wasn't quite as successful as he had thought, because he was saying, "God, dude, like that dude's so big and this and that." And maybe Joey's 17. I think he was 6. He was about to turn 17. But
before
it was
his
just
junior year.
It was just funny, right? It was like,
I just don't because we played, because Kyle played for the Royal Scout team this last season, and we played against Sac City. I think they have to know they're playing against high school kids. Like it's the Royal Scout team. It's like, are they not told?
I mean, I think it's like a fishing story, right? You want it to be the biggest fish there is. And if you hit a ball, you want it to be like, that dude's a dude.
Hey, one day.
But I'm a dude because I hit the home run off
One day
him.
that kid, though, was going to say, I hit a home run off of Joey Lorenzini.
Yeah. Well, that's not like, dude, it's like, it's all good. It's all good. I think, play as long as you can, because real life comes quickly. And when it comes, it's not quite as fun as baseball.
Oh, what is?
No, there isn't anything.
Yeah, I know. Like, you mentioned I think I actually mentioned it, like making life decisions at 18. Like, you're just not prepared to make them. And you kind of struck a chord, like when you said Sav wanted to go to a snow school.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't Kyle, dude. No way in hell.
Yeah,
I wasn't Kyle. Kyle's got a cannon. I didn't. But I could catch. Okay. And I had like D3 offers for football and baseball. So I was going with my family. Now D3 wasn't going to fly me out for a visit, but I happened to be driving through the area with my family.
Okay.
So I was going to go to the school. Coach said, "Hey, come by." Like this, that, and the other.
That's cool, man. I didn't have that.
And so I was going to potentially play football and baseball at Central Iowa University.
Wow. So you're out in Iowa. Nice. Okay.
So we were driving through there, 1989, and it was minus 35 wind chill factor. The diesel, my dad's pickup truck, we had put it in Tennessee leaving my sister's house. He had 2 tanks. It froze and turned into gel.
Oh
it was so cold. And I called the coach from a payphone.
Yeah.
Almost like a call box.
Almost like a call box.
I was 30 minutes away from the school, and I said, "Hey, coach, I'm sorry. I'm a California kid. I ain't coming."
Yeah. My dad's gas tank's gel.
I have regretted that decision almost every day the rest of my life.
Because you're like, how fun would that have been to go there and play?
But Kyle's like, I tell him that story. He's like, "Dad, I wouldn't be here." I'm like, that's why I don't regret it anymore.
Yeah.
I regretted it up until the point where I had my family.
Dude, I alluded to this earlier. So I'm looking for, I'm selling the Tahoe. I'm looking for some, maintenance records. And I look through this folder that Angel has. Angel got into USC full ride. She got into USF. She got into Cal. she got it was I forget where she got an SF, whatever. But moral of the story was she wanted to be a dentist. USC full ride, dude, full effing ride. And here she is, like, well, and St. Mary's is phenomenal. St. Mary's is awesome, dude. I'm not downplaying St. Mary's. I'm just like, man, she chose to go to St. Mary's because her goofball boyfriend of high school went off to automotive school in Arizona, was coming home. School wasn't my thing, man.
It worked out, man.
But I hope that at this point we were telling the kids, I'm like, hey, man, like, you guys ain't turning down USC because of some, boyfriend. But like, luckily, like, it's just like, you're right. And I think she feels the same. I hope she feels the same way. I hope you do. Hey, I made the right decision because we've made a family together. We've made a life together, and we do everything for our kids,
right?
And
so let me,
cool.
When you asked that question, so do you remember leaving that Potters game on the second game on Sunday, and you guys were walking ahead of us? And you were probably 50 yards ahead of us. And I go, look at the high school sweethearts still holding hands.
Yeah.
And you guys instantly pulled your hands up. That was a compliment.
Yeah, no. We're so, dude.
You guys were holding hands.
Yeah, it's not to be gushy or weird or whatever.
It was awesome.
I love my wife. Like, we have
nothing wrong.
We have a good time, and we're at that point where we're like, man, not like we're coming up for
it.
Yeah, not we're coming up for air, but like we're kind of like, hey, listen, dude, like both kids are doing okay. They're good human beings.
D1 babies.
Yeah. That's so funny, dude. Her line about I didn't play, but I'd be birthing those D1 babies. This is a famous line already. One weekend, but yeah, man, it's just like you're just like, what are we gonna do? And you talked about it, like you get to go see. Like I'm jealous. I'm jealous that Kyle's chosen Davis. I'm jealous that it's so close, but not really, because when we went to see Ava, I'm like, dude, I'm going to watch Kyle play baseball at Davis because it's a fun venue.
It's a nice little place to watch a ball game.
And I'm going to miss it. And like, honestly, I think we as dads and stuff, like these kids, and I don't know if Kyle told you this, but I thought it was you that posted it.
He told me.
Did he? Okay. Because it's a freaking great video.
Yeah.
You get the video from the outfield. Yep. I imagine it's the
that was
wife.
Amy video.
Yeah. She videotapes it, and he hits this ball to right center, and the center fielder is calling the ball.
Technically, it was my buddy's wife who was sitting like 4 feet from me.
I got it. I got it.
That was her.
Oh.
That was her.
I think it's the center fielder saying, I got it. I got it.
No.
And it goes over the fence. And so my comment is like, he, in fact, did not got it.
He told me that.
Yeah. And then he says, he gives me the like the thumbs up thing. Like, all right, cool. Thanks, Kyle, because I thought it was you, like just you forget who's posting it.
Right.
But yeah, man, I'm all for like enjoying the kids, man, and like, I think my buddy Joe O'Gorman, his daughter's at Nevada, and me and Sav got to go see her, and she's killing it. She's doing great. It was just cool to see what was a kid is now a woman.
Yep.
And she's playing in college. She started at San Diego. Now she's at Nevada. It was just fun to just chop it up with her and hear her talk.
Exactly.
And like, she's like, hey, and she was going through her thing and explaining it. And I'm like, and I told him, like, dude, that's so cool, man, to see your kid becoming an adult. And like, we're becoming old. And I say that to Angel at the same time, like, I appreciate that, right? Like, hey, you're holding hands, high school's weird. But
it was awesome.
But it is like, dude, listen.
You guys instantly held your hands apart. I wasn't joking around. I thought it was pretty cool.
Because we're still high school kids inside. Oh, you're not making fun of me. But like, it is like, hey, we're enjoying that chapter of life. We're trying to, Joey's got his girlfriend, and we're trying to just embrace, like, hey, man, just be a good human, and like work that. And Kyle's been with his girlfriend for a long time, right?
Yeah.
And they're still together, and that's awesome. Oh, where's she going to go?
She's been accepted to most of the schools up and down the state. But the other day, Davis went out to watch her play.
Oh, and she's a
soccer player.
Awesome.
Yeah, she had so both of our soccer teams won sections, and they both played.
Holy moly! So they're still in it.
No, well, until they ended. But she scored, like, they played. I don't know. We didn't have a huge preseason, but she scored 14 goals in 20 games.
Jesus, good for her.
She's good.
She's good.
And she plays for like Davis FC, like out
Yeah,
there.
yeah, which
So-
is a good program.
Yeah. So they, anyway, like she's been getting some interest from some schools, but
She's a senior also?
yeah,
Okay.
she's not super in. She'd rather go to a good school that she'll enjoy than to go to a lesser school to play soccer.
Yeah.
You know,
But like, I think what Angel and I have tried to do is like, I think I've talked about this before, but like, my home's open, like,
Mhm.
hey kids, go out, do your thing.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work out, come home.
Yep.
Go explore the world. Like this is different, like I love you. I want you to have a great time. I don't want to indulge you. I don't want you to say, oh, I'm going to go live in Mexico for 3 months and send me the bill. But what I am saying is like, go try,
yeah.
go jump out of the nest and try and fly. And if you fall down, I'm here. I'll pick you up.
Right.
We'll dust you off and we'll get you back on the next flight.
Figure it out.
Yeah,
'Cause
we'll
guess
figure
what?
it out.
You're flipping young, man.
Yeah, dude. It's like you see so much of this, kids making just some really rough decisions because there probably is no other option. And you're like, man, life's short, but it's like you got plenty of time.
Yeah.
That's that kind of
Yeah.
oxymoronic, whatever. But
Right.
it's just like, like let's just enjoy it.
Right.
There's no rush.
No, I get it. And like, one thing that I kind of, what I'm going to get at here in a second is like when we go back to that video that Kyle hit the home run and then you're like, you heard the outfielder go, I got it. Well, that was one of my best buddy's wives. And if you watch that video again, you hear this buddy going, get.
Because he's saying, get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was funny because coming up, we're going to start highlighting every senior and have them, because Placer did this in a game when we played up there. In between innings, they would have a break and during the in between, they would talk about a kid. And they'd have like,
that's cool.
He loves pizza. He wants to go to school to do this. Like, so they do this thing. And we also have the walk-up songs, all the schools do.
Yeah.
So there's this video of Kyle when he's like, the kids love baseball since he can remember, like before he can remember actually.
Yeah.
And so I have this audio of him singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" when he's like 2. And it wasn't on my phone. I couldn't find it anywhere, but it was on our old Mac and it was saved in a file like Eric's voice memos. And I went on the Mac, which barely runs because there's so much storage on it. It's like 15 years old.
Yeah,
and I found it last night.
Oh, nice.
So we're going to do his walk-up song.
Is Take Me Out to the Ball Game?
Is singing
as a 2-year-old?
Yeah.
That's
yes.
awesome.
But in searching for that video, I coached with my buddy who was yelling, get. And Kyle's first home run in majors when he was 11, my buddy was coaching first base and Amy was videoing. I heard,
get. That's awesome. That's cool, dude.
Yeah, it was like,
that
holy
is
crap.
cool.
I'd never heard that before.
Yeah.
But I've heard it on every video that he said, because he's sitting right next to me in right field, in the outfield. And I hear him say that in every video. Kyle hits a home run.
A good dude. His name's Josh. He played at UNC. He was a catcher, and he was a coach. And we coached against each other. I didn't really. So Joe was, I guess he was an 11-year-old at the time. I used to coach first base. He hits a ball, and I'm like, get out of here. And he was mad at me, and I didn't find out until like a couple weeks later because he's just a good dude, And he said, hey, man, that wasn't cool what you did. And I'm like, what did I do? And he goes, dude, he's screaming, get out of here. Like, and I was like, man, sorry. Like, dude, I was just pumped for my kid. Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to show up your pitcher or, the other kids, whatever.
Right.
But it is interesting how that works out because it's like, so now I really don't like, if like Savannah's hit a lot of home runs and parents will constantly say like, how come you don't do anything? And I'm like, well, I just don't like, there's a parent of that pitcher, and there's a parent of the other team. And I am celebrating inside, but she's also hit a lot of home runs by now,
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of like, I talked to her after the game. Hey, I'm proud of you. Great home run. Like, I'm not like anti home run. I do love, but there is a part of me that like thinks of that whole like, dang, dude, like, shit, you got mad at me? Like,
Yeah.
cause I was like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Cause he was 11, you hit a home run, dude. Like, it's
you're
literally
happy for your kids.
so happy.
But I learned that lesson on Facebook, 12-year-old year of Little League. I'm just posting videos of my kid being successful. And I forgot that it's Little League. We all know each other. And that pitcher that gave up the 2 absolute smashed balls that Kyle hit was a friend of his and a guy I call a friend. And he wasn't happy that I posted the videos of my kid, and I understand. And I go like, oh shit. I didn't even think about the pitcher when I posted those videos.
Yeah.
I was just
Yeah.
happy for my kid. And, so fast forward to junior year of high school, Kyle and Drew are very good friends.
Yeah.
And Drew is an amazing pitcher going to be a D1 pitcher. And they're facing off, and they're both pitching that game. The only game Kyle started in varsity baseball, we just had nobody left. Coach was like, Kyle, you want to pitch? So Kyle and Drew both agreed to throw each other a fastball.
I remember this. Yeah.
And so anyway, long story short, like the second at bat, Kyle absolutely smashes one off of Drew. Absolutely smashes it. And you can see Drew's pissed. Kyle's like pimping it.
Yeah. He's like, I'm going to talk to you
But
about
I'm
this
like,
on
you know what?
PlayStation.
Drew and his dad Lance, like they're like I love those guys. And I'm not posting that shit on Facebook.
Lance is great. Yeah.
And I didn't do it. I'm like, and he a couple days later goes, thanks for not posting that on Facebook. I'm like, I know, but I get it, man. I learned my lesson a long time ago.
So even today, what's kind of funny. So Joey had given he was doing lives against some pro guys, and it was funny because the guy hit a nuke on whatever the
the tracks
TrackMan,
yeah,
whatever it was,
called, yeah.
right? So he hits it. So he posted a video. Oh yeah, because he's trying to get back into major leagues.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Hey, dude, nice hit." And he's like, "Oh, sorry, man, I didn't mean to post Joey's." I'm like, "Dude, like, he didn't put Joey on there." You know what I mean? It just. I'm like, "Are you doing yourself a favor if you say you hit it off the 18?" I don't know. You know what I mean? But it was great. I was like, "Dude, it's totally fine." Today, it was kind of interesting because Joey had a 1-2 count. The kid, I think I talked about this earlier in the podcast, but like, kid got a base hit up the middle. I'm like, that kid's gonna tell that for a long time, because it's a good hit. But they posted it and they cut Joey out of it.
Oh, nice.
Which is kind of cool, right? I was like, but like, who gives a fuck? Like,
right. Well,
honestly, I think it would do the kid like, because they're saying, hey, he's uncommitted, whatever. It's like, dude, post it.
Hey, that's, you know what?
Hey, off an Arkansas commit guy, right? Like,
Joey's not going to lose his offer or his signing because he gave up a hit
like,
in high school
dude,
ball.
The guy put a good hit on the ball.
But I see it though.
Yeah,
I get it.
So then we had this the opposite. We had a lady. She's phenomenal. Her daughter, stud player, whatever, good. She hits a home run, and she's off a XYZ commit, and I'm like, I like. And some of the dads like, hey, that seems kind of like, do you like that? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, do you have to call out the pitcher and that she's committed to such and such? Because
Is the kid who hit it committed somewhere?
she is also
okay.
to a lesser, like a non-power school.
Right, I got you.
And she, to a power school. And I'm like, I think you're better off just posting your kid's success and leaving the pitcher out of it.
100%.
Because it's like, I don't ever post, Joey struck out 3 and 2 of the 3 were LSU commit. Like, because I don't like,
you don't
want to talk about the other kid.
Right. But
just
you don't also want to have any impact on that kid's future.
Yeah, it's just like,
because you never know where they're at with their recruitment and how if they're on a strong basis or they're on a flimsy line, like,
because with recruiting,
it can change.
It doesn't like it will change.
Mm-hmm.
It can change. It does change. We've had plenty of friends that kids are good. They didn't do anything wrong. And the coach calls and says, we don't no longer have your scholarship for you.
Right.
And then you have kids that did really bad and they say, we still have the scholarship for you. I mean, it's like, there's no rhyme or reason.
But I don't want to be a part of.
No, God, no.
So I would never intentionally. I would never intentionally post something that could hurt another kid because I'm trying to post my kid.
Yeah, and I think it's.
But because I learned that lesson though.
Yeah,
I learned it early when it didn't matter.
Yeah, because you thought like, I'm just posting this picture about poor little Billy, and I didn't realize that Tommy's the one that threw it to Billy, and Tommy's upset. Like,
and the whole reason I'm posting, we're all proud of our kids.
Yeah,
but you know how much easier it is to post it on Facebook than send it to like 15 relatives who've been asking you how he's doing.
Yeah,
so for me, it's like, and plus it's a memory saver.
So Angel's big on that. She really likes to post things because then it'll pop up later.
Yeah.
Now, when I was in law enforcement, I had a different Facebook account. I got a real estate, I got a different Facebook account. Yeah. So like, I don't have that luxury, but like it does make sense that how it comes. But, I think ultimately, kind of if you just post about your kid, and we joke around about this because my buddy Zarelli, he always say, better post the fucking strikeout. You know what I mean? Like, you always post the hits. And so like, there's sometimes where I'm just like, rough weekend.
Yeah.
You know, he calls it brag book, right?
Yeah,
Instead of Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh, brag book. And I'm like, guys, he's right.
Yeah.
You know, like, listen, dude, if all you ever post is this great outcome, like, post something real every once in a while.
I agree.
Like, damn.
Well, that's why when
1 for 19.
that's what I did.
That sucked. But guess what? Now he's
he's-
fucking 9 for 18 and we're doing all right.
He's
you know?
killing it. Yeah.
He's killing it. But if you don't ever post a 1 for 19, it just makes it look like you're always a brag hard or like, oh, my kid. It's okay to be real and then also be proud.
Yeah. Well, I think when I started for when they were the Lobos and we would win, like we were playing AA, then we were the AAA. Like,
Oh, yeah.
we were winning all these tournaments, and like, you know, finally it was like, you know what? Like, we're posting all these victory every 2 weeks. We're posting a victory photo at the on the field, getting a trophy. And like one time, like at the end of the year, I'm like, you know what? We didn't win today. Kid was 0 for 3.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
he doesn't always hit bombs or hit doubles. You know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Because my nephew one time said, "Hey, man, is Kyle going to the MLB?" I'm like, "No." I go, I only post the good shit for the most part.
Yeah, because you're like, fuck yeah. What am I
Like-
going to post? The strikeouts?
I guess I but you got to be real though, because we all know if you know baseball, you know it's not all glory.
It's more not glory than it is all
Exactly.
glory.
So that's why you want to celebrate the moments where they have success.
Yeah.
Because there's so much failure.
Well,
know?
it's like even in the real estate world, right? It's like, oh, another sale. It's like, why don't I post the 10 that dropped out, you know, or the
15
people
car
that didn't
rides,
call me, or like all the ones we looked at that didn't, you know, like
the looky loos.
the looky lose. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. Like that's not fun and sexy. You know what I mean?
No.
So I
No.
think no, that's good. Anything else you wanted to touch?
No, man. I think we've been on for a while. I mean,
I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked that you came with notes, dude.
I did, and you know, I want to make sure that I didn't leave anything off.
I like that.
Hold on.
I did think there was a couple good ones on there.
There are, but I think because you have admitted on my podcast that you stopped playing ball and you were more interested in your now wife than you were playing ball in high school.
Yeah.
And you started playing some slow pitch softball, I hear.
Mhm.
But apparently you were pretty good at it.
I'm very good at it. I mean, I haven't played since I moved up here, so I'm on a 6-year hiatus.
The
but-
quote, and maybe I'm misquoting it, but I think I heard from episode 1 is that I used to rake, and I don't know what kid said. It was like,
Those both of them.
What? The field?
Yeah. You know, I don't know if we've said this before, but kids can be assholes.
Yeah.
You know, a-holes, whatever the right term is.
Or mad geniuses. I don't know. Comedic geniuses.
Yeah, comedic. Yeah, it's very, very funny. And it's just, it's wild how they pick up, you know, just what they want to say, right? Like, oh,
Yeah.
you know, and then I realize like, dude, both my kids are just way better than I ever was. But I can't say that. You know, even when he's like, hey, you want to go play catch? I got to go play catch. I'm like, okay. And I'm just sweating balls, dude. Like trying to catch. Dude, we're just playing catch.
Yeah.
Why is the ball moving so much? Jesus Christ. I mean, I can't even.
And you know, he's doing that too on purpose. He could throw it straight if he wanted
Oh,
to.
dude. Like to all those dads out there that are still catching bullpens, like,
I do.
amen.
Well, when he was pitching.
Amen to you. You know?
Yeah. So
like,
one thing before we leave, man,
Yeah.
and like this is one thing I hope my kid always remembers is like from day one, like when it came to baseball, and this was with Ryan too before he gave it up.
yeah.
If my kid ever asked me to play catch, my vow was to never say no.
So it's funny you say that. I
Never say no.
just yesterday, right? He's all, hey, I need to get a quick game of catching. I'm like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I thought you said, you know, it makes you nervous. I'm like, well, it does, but I can't say no.
Just give me a face mask.
Yeah. Like, well, I'm just like, I would rather catch a ball to the face
Yep.
than say no
Yep.
and always regret not playing catch them.
Yep.
I mean, how many times do you hear dads say, oh man, I just want to play
Dude,
catch?
we
Like,
grew
just-
up with Field of Dreams, bro.
Yeah. Dude, just all
I
of
just
it.
want to play catch with my dad one more time.
So we literally were out on the golf course and we played catch. And he's like, oh, that's pretty cool out here. Like, it worked out well. And I'm like, dude, like in my heart is going crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I love this. Like, are
Yeah.
you kidding me?
Yep.
Because it's like the phone call today, right? Like, you still need me. And I love it. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Because it's just like, this is what it's all about. Like,
Yep.
because at some point he's gonna not, you know what I mean? There's gonna be a assistant or a player
Yeah.
or whatever. But like,
Or his buddies.
Yeah.
I've already taken second chair to his buddies, but
Yeah.
whenever I can get in there, man, I get
No,
in.
yeah, like, I mean, I will, I guess, if you want.
Hey.
But I'll be right there. Right now? Okay, cool, I'm there.
Or sometimes they're like, hey, it's Sunday. We play Monday. There's no practice. You know, hey, want to go hit?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I want to go hit. All right, let's go.
Let's do it.
Go to
Yeah.
high school.
I got the key. I got the key.
Not officially. Roseville
Yeah.
High School, I don't have the keys.
No, I don't have any keys either, but apparently it does happen. It's happened before. But no, dude, I think, you know, there's the weird thing that we recently learned about Angel and I about how like the parent that wanted kids, you know, wants to be the parent. And it doesn't mean that like any of our parents didn't want to be, just like there's a difference between like planning to have kids and getting married. And you're like, hey man, you actively choose to be parents. And then you'll be actually different grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
And it's wild, right? Because like my mom, you know, she got pregnant and, you know, she was young and in high school still. And then she's a great mom. And she's, my sister's doing great. My sister, like, you know, young and like everybody's worked it out.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a difference between planning it and making it work,
Right.
you know? And then you're just like, okay, what could have been? Because if you plan it, you planned it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, hey man, everything worked out the way I planned.
Yeah.
And there's just a different vibe about it, you know?
No doubt. It's all gone by way too fast, man.
Oh my gosh.
I can remember bringing well, I don't want to forget that I have a second child because I do, but we're talking baseball. We're talking
somebody,
recruiting.
but by the way, I got that call too.
Yeah.
Hey, don't forget about Savannah.
Yeah,
You know, you're talking
yeah,
about baseball and Ryan is doing great in theater.
But like my point to that story was, your first child is though, like, that's when the memories of being a parent start.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I can,
100%.
and so it was different when I brought home the second one, when I brought home the first one. The first one, I was like, I remember bringing him out of the car, put him on the island in the kitchen in his car seat. And I'm like, I looked at Amy and go, what the hell do we do now?
Yeah, we have a human.
This is real. And whereas when the second one comes, Ryan comes along 20 months later, I got a toddler who's running all over the place, and I got a baby.
You're
who
trying to
needs
stay
my
alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a much different experience. And if we were talking musical theater, I'd be bragging about how the kid was
And
like,
yeah,
you know, the Tin Man.
But he kills. He kills it, and it's.
I just
yeah.
don't want that to get lost on
No,
on this,
I think it's fair. I mean, I think.
But being a parent, though, like you said, though, planning it and being present, you know, in your kids' lives, that's much more important than anything else.
And we touched on this a little bit about careers. You know,
Oh, yeah.
I think you
I think
can
that
agree.
was before we started.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you know, but you can agree, right? Like your career suffered because you were trying to be the best dad you could be.
100%. I don't want to miss anything.
Yeah, and I think being a little older and saltier or whatever, you know, and to my friends that are younger, it's like I'm not saying be a bad employee or don't bring home the bacon. What I'm trying to tell you is don't miss it.
Don't bring home more bacon than you need, because
don't bring more. Don't bring more bacon because you missed. You know, because
you can't get it back.
You can't get it back, man.
You can always make more money later if you want.
You can always. You can always. And it's like, oh, I'm sure somebody's like, oh, dude, easy for you to say. It's like, well, dude, I didn't grow up with a silver spoon. The only money I have is the money I made.
Yeah.
And I found a way to make the money I needed. I don't have like a plethora of extra money, but I've made it work to where I can make the events I need to go to. And I feel like, you know, it's funny. I don't know if it's the cop in me or the cynical. I'm just like, oh, you know, if I die, I'm happy. Like I've been to everything. You know, I've literally done everything. Do I want to die? No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I've done I've been everything I want to be to, you know, and everything now is like, I'm playing with house money, a little bit of like the cream, you know, I'm just like, all right, cool. Like I still got a couple more years in me, but like, don't cry for me. Like, dude, like we're good, man. You know, just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And, I think ultimately, you know, I think you're a great dad. I think your kids are doing great. I'm sure your wife is lucky to have you. I want her to know that.
I don't know if she'll agree.
I know she's doing all right, but she wouldn't be doing as good without you. You know what I mean? Yeah.
She loves retired me.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Dinner's ready most of the time, but now she's got me working a job. So dinner's not always ready when she gets home anymore.
By the way, dude, I've been making breakfast every morning.
See, that's what I do. Yeah.
So this morning I woke up, two 2 eggs over medium for Sav. I do 3 scrambled for Joey. And then I'm doing that whole keto slash fasting thing. So I don't eat till midday. But Angel texted me, and I had some good stuff going today. I actually did have some real estate. I am actually employed by myself, but I was working. And Angel's like, "Hey, I got in the garage and I messed up. I left my coffee. I put my shoes on, left my coffee on the counter in the garage. Just throw it out." And I'm like, "Come on, dude. You don't really want me to throw your coffee out. You want that? I mean, like, dude, I would want my coffee."
Yeah.
And she has a real job, like nurses, like your wife, and students and stuff. Like, those are real jobs.
Yeah.
You have to, like, you can't just leave.
No.
Like, as a cop, it was
I've
pretty
taken
cool.
her stuff a time or two.
Yeah. So I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put this in the car and drive it over to the hospital, and I'm going to give it to her. And so it was cool, but I'm like, it makes me feel good, right? Because Angel has carried the load for a long time, and she's a doer, man. It's like, sometimes marriage is a business arrangement, and you have to be able to carry your load. And she's carried way more than her fair share of the load.
No
So
doubt.
it's just like, I can drive her fucking coffee over and just shut up, dude.
100%
Drop the
agree.
coffee off and then come back to your computer.
You know why you can?
Yeah.
Because you're retired.
Yeah. Dude, life is good. Life is good. And so I'm just fortunate to be in a position where, I don't miss any games and I'm able to do my thing. But I think, ultimately I lucked into that. I think I'm happy that I found that thing. And I think to other dads, making money is great. And getting the promotion's awesome. And if you need that, then do it. You know what you need and you know what's important to you. But I think, some of my kids' success has been because we're just vested in that, and we're invested.
What was it? What did I say? Work to live, not live to work.
100%.
Yeah. And then there's nothing like some people need to go to spend that extra time at work and maybe miss part of the games because they got to keep the job that allows them to
100%.
work to live. And
100%.
not a knock on anybody who can't make their games because
no.
they're working. But my priority was always, being able to have a job where I could be there.
Yeah.
And I sacrificed overtime. I sacrificed maybe promotions because I didn't want to miss stuff. But I still went to work and did my job. I was there present and I was a good employee. I just wasn't a go-getter. Didn't want to do more.
But you put your time in before, because I'm thinking like,
I retired at 49.
Yeah, dude. Like,
I didn't wait till I was 50. I said, I'm out.
Yeah.
So
that's the key though, right?
Yeah.
If you can find that calculation that works for you,
I did.
You just do it.
Exactly, man. So, hey,
anyways,
I appreciate it.
Thank you, dude.
It's been fun.
Thanks for
I'm
coming
sure we
on.
can keep doing this for another 2 hours.
Yeah. We can just
I don't know if anybody be listening to this.
No, they're like, I already fell asleep in the car, but
it's going to take like 6 car rides to listen to.
Yeah. We don't play in Fresno anymore, Joe. Can you set that thing to 2 hours max? So, well, thank you for coming on.
Dude, I'm honored. Again,
Always.
I'm honored to be your second guest.
I appreciate it, and good luck this season.
You too.
All right, talk to you.